42%. Chapter 201 Investigation. Not the face of corn. Subscription. The eye of the warp is not yet fully formed, but the degree of completion is already high. The location of this warp eye is in a galaxy. At this moment, this galaxy is already different from ordinary galaxies. There are 8 stars in the galaxy, and around these 8 stars are 88 planets. Among these planets, there are terrestrial planets, gaseous planets, and various types. But without exception, they are all within the scope of the warp eye. The entire eye of the subspace looks like a huge vortex. Outside the vortex is normal space, in the background of countless vast and bright stars. Inside the vortex, a blood-red vortex, 8 stars and 88 planets were stubbornly attracted by this vortex. And between these 88 planets, there are countless chaotic believer fleets traveling back and forth. Just from the number of stars and planets, it can be seen that this warp eye is dominated by the followers of Korn. The holy number of Korn is 8. A light year away from this eye of the warp, the combined fleet of the judgment of the Holy See extranodal civilization arrived here. I can't move forward. The space in front is extremely solid, and the effect of space strike weapons will be infinitely reduced. 1. Every time I undertake the task of destroying the eye of the warp, it is the most annoying. The civilized species with a head similar to an ape but a body similar to a praying mantis shook its head and sighed. It is precisely because of this that I arranged Argus Rouge of the ancient Morris civilization as the vanguard. Admiral Steel Wheel has 4 arms, 2 around his chest and 2 behind his back, speaking lightly. The surrounding space between the soon-to-be-formed warps is incredibly solid. The purpose is to prevent people from exerting large power space strikes from a long distance. Directly smash the entire eye of the warp. But on the contrary, the space at the core of the true eye of the warp is unusually fragile. Especially this kind of eye of the warp that is about to take shape, the firmness of the space inside and outside is opposite. How sturdy the outside is, the more fragile the space inside. Therefore, even if it is a fleet of 5th-level civilization, when facing this kind of warp eye, it can only abandon the past long distance, beyond visual range space strike combat methods. Instead, like a 4th-level civilization, he honestly ordered the fleet to launch an attack and fight a close-quarters battle. Therefore, this kind of task requires extraordinarily the conventional firepower configuration of the battleship. The ancient Morris civilization fleet from Arguslag was specially designed to deal with this kind of battlefield, and their battleship was a cylinder. It looks silly and black. Because of this, they have enough internal space to place more void shield generators. More antimatter engines provide energy. Compared with the general 5th-level medium civilization, the battleships of the ancient Morris civilization have thicker shields, and can withstand far more firepower than the average 5th-level medium civilization warships. At the same time, it is also in response to the never-ending gang-jumping tactics of the Korn believers. The soldiers of the ancient Morris civilization are of higher quality and better able to fight against the Chaos believers. Now, let's wait a moment. We need to know the specific number of Chaos fleets within this warp. Quote. As soon as Admiral Drumwheel mentioned this, Qin Sheng stood up. This task Drumwheel must be given to him. Sure enough, Admiral Steel Wheel's 12 eyes turned to Qin Sheng's virtual image and said, "Let the Qin Empire complete this task." After speaking, he took another sentence. "If you quit the mission now, it's still too late." But Qin Sheng ignored him at all. Admiral Steel Wheel took a deep breath and said, "Okay, if that's the case, then you are going to die, and I won't stop you. I only ask that after your warship enters, you can find out the enemy's intelligence. Even if you die, before you die, you have to send the information out. After all, you could have refused this mission, and now you are going to die." How Qin Sheng thought, Admiral Drumwheel didn't know, neither did the people of several other civilizations. In their hearts, Qin Sheng had a 99% chance of dying in this trip. Even if Qin Sheng died inside, it would be great if Qin Sheng could send out the information before he died. What exactly was Qin Sheng thinking? Simple. That is, a battleship of his, which directly broke into it, and directly broke into the face of Korn believers. Then the various light spear arrays and antimatter missiles on the battleship bombed directly and indiscriminately. During Qin Sheng's period, the battleship, Emperor's Immortal, above, in addition to the Void Singularity Collapse Cannon, Space Singularity Missile Launching Array and other 5-level technologies. There are also 240 inches Laplace, heavy-duty Tachyon Lance Launch Arrays, 1,200 near anti-Tachyon Lance Launch Arrays, and 400 superluminal antimatter missile launch arrays. and 100 proton to star decomposition artillery arrays. This is the conventional firepower of the battleship, Emperor's Rise. Although before, Qin Sheng had never used these conventional firepower in the battle against the 5th level civilization. But that's because of the battle of the 5th level civilization. The battlefield often spans several light years, dozens of light years. The Laplace heavy Tachyon lance has a maximum range of only 12 light years, and the fire control system is relatively old, which is the level of the 4th peak. In the face of a Tier 5 battleship, once the distance exceeds 1 light year, it is impossible to lock the opponent, and naturally it is useless. However, in the eyes of the warp, it is far from fighting. At this distance, the Laplace heavy Tachyon spear can completely cope. After all, the Laplace heavy Tachyon light spear is 1,000 times more powerful than the heavy Tachyon light spear of the 4th level peak civilization. As long as it can be approached and locked, its power will also have a huge threat to the 5th level civilized warship. Not to mention the 100 proton to star decomposition artillery arrays that have also been systematically strengthened. It can be said that none of the other battleships of the other 5th level civilizations present have the powerful conventional firepower of the Emperor's Landing. After all, the Emperor's Advent is Qin Sheng's flagship. Qin Sheng's virtual image disappeared. The next moment, the engine of the battleship, Emperor's Immortal, was fully opened, and the light flashed instantly before disappearing in place. At a terrifying speed that can't be seen from an optical perspective, rushed towards the eye of the warp. Straight to the face of Tunima Korn. When the fleet leaders of the other civilizations saw this, they were all shocked. He's crazy. Didn't he hear it? His mission is to scout, not to fight alone. Damn. Admiral Steel Wheel couldn't keep his composure either, staring at the eye of Naya in astonishment, as well as the Emperor's immortal sign, which he couldn't see at all. 42%. Chapter 202 Korn, I'm on horseback. Subscription. Admiral Drumwheel's original intention was to let the Emperor's Landing ship of the Dakan Empire open the space cover to achieve a concealed effect, and then slowly enter the vortex of the eye of the warp. Investigation is underway. Although this is slow, it is safe, and it is also the best way to find out the number of enemies and the configuration of the fleet. After the battleship has opened the space cover, the speed cannot be too fast. It may take years, it may take more than 10 years. But it's all worth it. The combined fleet can afford to wait. After all, the Eye of the Warp will take more than 100 years to form. After finding out the accurate information of the Chaos Believer fleet in the Eye of Warp vortex, the next battle plan was formulated. The number of enemies is 80,000, or 800,000, or 8 million. The inside of this Eye of Warp is dominated by followers of Chaos Korn, and the number of fleets in it can only be prefixed with the number 8. However, what was completely unexpected to Admiral Steelwheel and several other civilized fleet leaders was that the Emperor's admiral did not hide at all, and turned on the engine at full power. Rushed in. Damn, did the Qin Empire do it on purpose? Admiral Steelwheel's anger welled up in his heart. In his opinion, Qin Sheng did this on purpose by 570. The Emperor's advent just rushed out like this, and it would definitely alarm all the enemies. Admiral Steelwheel, what should we do now? Should we act in advance to support them? Argislug asked the Steelwheel Admiral in the communication channel. As long as Admiral Steelwheel gives an order, the vanguard fleet of their ancient Morris civilization will directly attack all of them. No, all fleets, open the space cover, cover themselves, and stand by the original coordinates. Don't act rashly. No one can fire without my order. Let them die alone, and the rest wait for my next instructions. Admiral Steelwheel said angrily, his 12 eyes fixedly staring at the huge vortex-shaped eye in front of him. It's a pity, I thought it was a bastard who just came here to get rewards. I didn't expect it to be so brave. A battleship dares to rush in directly. One of the 6 civilizations, a giant, at least 6 meters tall, a civilization creature that looked similar to a dinosaur sighed. It's more stupid than brave. That long ABFC creature with an ape head but a mantis-like body sneered. Now, all civilizations are waiting for movement within the Eye of the Warp. Sure enough, it didn't take long for these civilization fleets outside the swirling Eye of the Warp to observe the changes inside the Eye of the Warp. The huge vortex seemed to be even more intense. There is also a storm of light that can penetrate space as whistling frantically. Seems like a psionic storm. At this time, someone felt something was wrong. The huge, dinosaur-like civilization made a puzzled voice in the communication channel. No, this storm has detected a large-scale psychic power. But aren't the bloodthirsty gods and their followers the most despised psionic power? Where did this psychic power come from? The bloodthirsty devil refers to Khorne, and different civilizations have different names for the four evil gods of chaos. Most civilizations do not dare to call Khorne directly, but use other pronouns. Otherwise, the moment you say, Khorne, in your mouth, it will immediately attract the attention of Khorne. Then you have to be eroded, mutated, and corrupted by chaos on the spot. Terrible. Only Qin Sheng, who is not afraid of the erosion of chaos, dares to call the evil god by the name. These civilized creatures outside are very puzzled. And inside the eye of the swirling warp, the skulls of giant creatures of different civilizations were swept by the warp vortex. The largest of them is 4 million kilometers in diameter. There are 8 such huge skulls with a diameter of more than 1 million kilometers. There are also 88 huge skulls of creatures from different civilizations with diameters ranging from tens of thousands to thousands of kilometers. Qin Sheng could see that these were not real skulls. It is the 8 stars and 88 planets that Khorne believers will be pulled into the warp vortex to transform into this shape. They remodeled stars and planets to look like this, probably in an attempt to please Khorne. These huge stellar skulls, around the planetary skulls, and inside, there are a huge number of chaos fleets constantly in and out, orbiting. The Emperor's advent suddenly rushed in and immediately caught their attention. Ha 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 ha, there are enemies. Kill kill kill. Blood sacrifice to the blood god, skull sacrifice skull seat. Immediately, thousands of chaotic battleships from the nearest rushed over. Inside the battleship, there were those Khorne believers who seemed to be out of their minds, climbed out, stood on the surface of the battleship, and were exposed to space. On. And Qin Sheng didn't push them too hard, and ordered directly. Lock on the nearest skull planet, proton to star decomposition artillery array, salvo. 1. The rest of the weapons, lock on the nearest enemy and shoot freely. Order issued. Bottom of the battleship Emperor's Advent, the smooth bottom deck opens. A dense number of proton to star decomposition cannons were detected. Every 10 proton to star decomposition cannons form an array. 100 arrays means thousands. As for the proton to star decomposition cannon, only one is needed to completely destroy a planet with a diameter of about 5,000 kilometers. In an instant, thousands of terrifying proton decomposition beams formed a torrent like a tsunami of light in space, impacting the skull planet that was 10 billion kilometers away from the nearest Emperor's landing. A void shield that can completely cover the skull planet with a diameter of 12,000 kilometers rises. A torrent of proton dissociation beams rages past. Instantly submerge the skull planet. Under the protection of the void shield, this skull planet is safe and sound, but the void shield is bleak. One more time, and the planet is over. Qin Sheng knew it. Volley again. Thousands of proton to star decomposition cannons cooled down at a crazy speed after seeing it at a level 5 civilization. Another blow is coming. Under another terrifying torrent of the proton to star decomposition cannon, the skull planet with a diameter of 12,000 kilometers disintegrated instantly. Countless Khorne believers on the planet, as well as the chaos fleet that keeps coming and going around the planet, are also turned into powder under this torrent. At the same time, more Chaos Believer fleets arrived from other planets, and rounds of light spear weapons struck the Emperor's Advent. The thoughts of Khorne believers are easy to guess. Khorne loves melee combat. These Chaos Believer fleets use anti-ship weapons to frantically bombard the Emperor's Advent, and they just want to break the void shield. So that you can launch a jump attack. 42%. Chapter 203. Another option, incarnation as the fifth evil god. Subscription. More than 100,000 light spears of various colors and types, and the firepower of superluminal antimatter missiles poured frantically toward the Emperor's rise. When the Chaos Fleet's first wave of firepower hit the Emperor's Advent, it was blocked by a layer of void shield. Tens of thousands of incomparably hot beams that can decompose all real matter hit this layer of nihilistic red light shield. All the power was automatically transferred to the warp by the void shield. At the same time, in the bridge, Qin Sheng was also paying attention to the value of the void shield of the Emperor temporary. It's down 1%. Qin Sheng nodded slightly, knowing what to do. The fleets of these Chaos Believers are all Tier 5 battleships. Even conventional weapons such as light spears are dozens of times more powerful than the 4th level civilization. The value of the void shield, which has been systematically strengthened 10,000 times, has dropped by 1%. This kind of defense is already extremely terrifying. Although powerful, it also has an upper threshold. Not to mention all the chaotic fleets in the Eye of the Warp, Even if there are only 10,000 chaotic battleships, the Emperor's Immortal, where all these 10,000 chaotic battleships are focused on fire, the Emperor's Immortal's void shield can't hold it. There will be a momentary overload, then it will fail and recharge. Even if this time is only a short moment, the Emperor's Immortal may be hit by the attack of a chaotic battleship next, thus sinking. Not to mention, in the eye of this subspace, the number of chaotic battleships with a 5th level civilization is probably more than 80,000. There are also 8 million chaos battleships at the 4th level. In the periphery of the warp eye, which cannot use space weapons, these 8 million tier 4 chaos battleships also have a formidable threat level. The Emperor's advent is unbearable. Qin Sheng knew this truth from the beginning. But he still came. That's because the Emperor's rendezvous is equipped with a warp engine. This engine is no ordinary engine. It is a special engine that has been system enhanced. In normal space transitions and long-distance travel across stellar systems, this subspace engine does not play any role at all. After all, the distance of a jump is too short and too short. Even a 5th level civilization, or even a 6th level civilization, will basically not be equipped. After all, the influence of the warp space is too terrifying. Even people of the 6th level civilization are slightly inadvertent, and they will be infected by chaos. But this is not a problem for Qin Sheng and his tactical girls, who are immune to the influence of chaos. Here's what makes the warp engine special for Qin Sheng. The Emperor's advent can be removed from the real universe at any time. Hidden in the warp, and then escaped and returned to the real universe again. This engine is useless for travel across stellar systems, but it has strategic importance on battlefields spanning single-digit to double-digit light years. This is the outer periphery of the eye of the warp. Although the space is solid, the short jump distance of the warp engine is limited, but it is also very close to the warp. The warp engine can be turned on even more times. Let the Emperor's landing be like a duck to water. Blood sacrifice to the blood god, skull offering skull seat. Kill, kill, kill. Farther away, another chaos fleet, a huge chaos fleet, sailed in the vortex of the eye of the warp, heading towards the Emperor's advent. This is a chaos fleet battle group consisting of 8,000 tier 5 chaos battleships and 800,000 tier 4 chaos battleships. Even at a distance of more than 1 billion kilometers, Qin Sheng seems to be able to hear the frenzied howls of countless Khorne believers within it through the omnipresent psychic energy in the vortex of the eye of the warp. In such a place that is so close to the subspace, Qin Sheng's incomparably powerful psychic power is also skyrocketing wildly. And these chaotic fleets did not give Qin Sheng much time to react, and millions of tachyon torrents bombarded the Emperor's advent. Warp engine. A torrent of millions of tachyon strike beams washed the space in an instant. The huge hull of the Emperor temporarily disappeared in an instant, leaving only a space of vibrations. Warp chaos. Countless stray in reality and illusion, the virtual and the real, the grotesque, distorted shadows wandering here. These are all warp demons. At a glance, how many trillions are there? However, this is only this small area. The Emperor's temporary appeared out of thin air in this warp area, causing the countless virtual and real warp demons to rush towards the Emperor's temporary. A black light flashed in Qin Sheng's eyes, and the psychic energy spread out. In an instant, a sun rose aboard the Emperor's advent. A black, icy sun. Under the black light, countless warp demons wailed and dissipated. This is the projection of Qin Sheng in the warp. Is this the subspace? Such a power. At this moment, Qin Sheng's psychic power is increasing in the warp. It is increasing. It is increasing. Even Qin Sheng was shocked by his crazy growth of psionic power. Even Qin Sheng couldn't help but be addicted to it. Qin Sheng suddenly felt a strange feeling in his heart, and he was instantly distracted, not addicted to this power. So close. Qin Sheng was alert inside. Although the power of warp chaos and the power of the four gods cannot erode the hearts of Qin Sheng and the races under his command. However, he was afraid that Qin Sheng's heart would change. This is Qin Sheng's own power. Just now, Qin Sheng almost indulged himself in this power of his own. If it continues like this, I am afraid that Qin Sheng will not be able to control this crazy skyrocketing power, so he will project his icy sun in the warp into reality. Point 0. At that time, Qin Sheng is afraid that he will truly belong to the subspace, and will manifest a godhead in the subspace. Incarnate as the fifth evil god of the warp. At that moment, many tactical girl races under Qin Sheng's command will also enter the warp along with Qin Sheng, becoming a demon race that does not belong to the real universe. Become the fifth evil god, the servant of the Dark Emperor of the warp. And all the human beings of the Emperor's cult in the galaxy far away 1.5 billion light years away will also be reduced to the Dark Emperor incarnated by Qin Sheng in an instant, the Chaos followers of the Chaos Emperor. But that's not a bad thing either. Qin Sheng's mouth twitched slightly. At least, it gave him a choice. After all, Qin Sheng still has to live in the real universe. But if one day, Qin Sheng really can't survive in the real universe, then Qin Sheng can choose to join the warp and become the fifth evil god of the warp. Directly Nima lifted the table of the real universe. I can't do it, then let's all go. But Qin Sheng wouldn't do it unless he had to. After all, Qin Sheng didn't know what would happen after he threw himself into the warp and turned into the fifth evil god. Now, leave the warp as soon as possible. The Emperor's advent broke out of the warp and reappeared in the real universe. On the side of the real universe, in the eyes of the Chaos Believer fleet, the Emperor's advent seems to have suddenly teleported. Instantly appeared in the battle group of these 800,000 Chaos Believers battleships. The numerous light spear cannon arrays on the starboard and starboard sides of the Emperor's advent, and the proton-to-star decomposition cannon array below, fire frantically. Pills. 2. 42%. Chapter 204 The fifth level demon, kill the General Chemos. As the Tachyon light spear poured out its firepower, the beam of light brought turbulent light energy wherever it passed, destroying all the chaotic apostle battleships in sight, like gorgeous fireworks, blooming in this universe. Admiral Steel Wheel and the others stared blankly, looking at the unbelievable scene in front of them, looking at each other and asking questions from the depths of their souls. Is this guy really a fourth-level civilization? Agaslug was stunned, stared at Qin Sheng and began to kill, involuntarily brought himself into it. If his own battleship group fought Qin Sheng, would he be vulnerable like the Chaos Apostle? Fortunately, he originally thought that Qin Sheng was here to be a scumbag, but now Qin Sheng has gone completely crazy, and these five-level civilizations with high self-esteem have become swindlers. Listen to my order. All the warships will attack to assist the Dakan Empire. Fang, 570. Still looked down on Qin Sheng, and even the Steel Wheel Admiral who sneered at Qin Sheng waved his hand and wanted to direct everyone to join the battle. At this moment, on the front line in the distance, the image of Qin Sheng came through the electronic light curtain. Don't bother everyone, the Qin Empire, one ship is enough. His tone was full of chills, and even Admiral Steel Wheel, who had gone through countless battles, could not help but shudder. Although the destruction of the Chaos Apostles battleship does not allow Qin Sheng to obtain technical points and all related technologies, this is the first time the Emperor's advent has been shown in the world's sight, and Qin Sheng also wants to test the Emperor's advent to the end. No matter what he can do, Qin Sheng is not afraid even in the face of countless Chaos Apostle battleships. It would be even better if some great demons could be drawn from the eyes of Naya to fight. It can even be said that if Admiral Steel Wheel and others intervene at this moment, it will indeed be a disservice to Qin Sheng. The array of Tachyon light spears blasts the light curtain. Although Qin Sheng knows who is the enemy and who is the friend, the light curtain can be divided. I don't know the enemy or me. In such a battle situation, if you take out a little bit of mind to manipulate the light curtain so that it doesn't hurt the friendly troops, Qin Sheng's head is on the contrary. Admiral Steel Wheel swallowed his saliva and pressed his palm down for a while. Listen to my order. If the Dakan Empire does not show its decline, all the warships will stay put, hide their coordinate systems, and do not act rashly. The Laplace heavy Tachyon light spear launched an array of crazy throughput light curtains. Even if the Chaos Apostles battleship and this light curtain were wiped, it was enough to make it explode and break down as a whole. When the Chaos Apostles battleship light cannon bombarded the Emperor's advent, it was unable to break the defense of the Void Zero energy shield, which almost reached the 5th level peak of the Void Zero energy shield. When it reached the 5th level, even a group of warships that were not next to the 5th level showed their absolutely invincible attitude. Kill. I'm going to kill this guy. Praise my god. Skull offering skull. Charge with me. Sacrifice this body to my god. The Chaos Apostles have also fallen into a frenzy. The massacre of the Emperor's advent did not make these Khorne believers retreat, but instead rushed towards the Emperor's advent even more frantically. It is a pity that not only the Laplace Tachyon light spear array is carried on the Emperor's advent, but also the close-proof Tachyon light spear array. Even if some car gods escaped the light curtain and came to the Emperor's advent before the world title, it will also be torn apart by the near anti-Tachyon light spear like a steel knife cutting butter. Even more cleanly than a steel knife cutting butter. Looking at the Chaos Apostle battleship group that was already in disarray in front of him, Qin Sheng shook his head. Too weak. In front of the Emperor's advent, which is already close to the 6th level civilization, the battleships of these Khorne apostles are vulnerable. At this moment, with the sudden collapse of tens of thousands of Tier 5 battleships in front of the warp, Qin Sheng's eyes narrowed slightly, and he looked at the empty eye of the warp. In the battleship lineup behind the Chaos Apostle, all the battleships that have reached the 5th level chose to disintegrate and self-destruct, and sacrifice their blood to the eye of the warp to stimulate its operation. With the completion of the blood sacrifice, the eye of the warp is approaching the complete construction. The only heard bursts of screams came from the eye of the warp. The sound was deafening, and even the power of a single sound wave smashed some weak battleships around. Stupid and blunt, I am Khorne, the blood god of Khorne, the slaying General Chemos. You and other inferior things kill the apostles of my god, and this should end in massacres. A big hand passed through the eye of Naya's space, pinching the emptiness of the universe, and in the blood-red vortex, a giant with a length of nearly 1,000 kilometers slowly stretched its body. Khorne's 5th level chaos demon, Chemos. Damn, how could it be this guy? Admiral Steel Wheel let out a low roar, staring at the image in the distance. Unbelievable, why a 5th level chaos great demon could teleport out from the eye of the warp that had not been built yet. Chromos is engraved with blood-colored runes that are enough to drive people into a frenzy. The ferocious fangs and the horns from the forehead and temples on the terrifying face showed his identity as a great devil of Khorne. The body of nearly 1,000 kilometers is huge even in this vast and empty universe, and even compared with the surrounding planets, it is not much different. On top of the huge body, except for the knotted muscles, the entire body surface showed a scarlet color, as if there was no skin. Holding 2 giant axes in his hands, his wings like bats spread out behind him, with a wingspan of 3,000 kilometers. Seeing this, Qin Sheng became interested. Yes, the 5th level demon, just in time to try it out with you. 1 inch. In the distance, Chemos stretched his legs and feet, completely escaped from the eye of the warp, raised his body and flew to the Emperor's arrival where Qin Sheng was. When Chemos came, all the apostles of Khorne fell into madness, and tens of millions of apostles of Khorne were not even afraid of the light curtain of the Tachyon spear, jumping on the battleship, waving the steel knives in their hands. Rushed towards the Emperor's advent under the movement of the battleship. Accompanied by Chemos, there are also countless Bloodletter's army. The Khorne Legion is moving in full force, like a swarm of nymphs in the eye of this warp, surging in this universe. 5.2. The blood-crushing cavalry took the lead in the charge, dodging the lance of the Emperor's advent in the universe. Afterwards, the Skull Cannon group spit out tongues of flame, and the violent flames poured out with the power of demons, and the bombardment on the Emperor's advent caused far more damage than those of the 5th-tier warships. Not long after, the Tachyon spears were unable to deal with all these Khorne hordes. Every 100,000 blood grinders would lead thousands of bloodletters to jump above the void zero energy shield of the Emperor's advent. After these blood-crushing cavalry, there are hundreds of millions of Khorne legions, which are frantically coming towards the Emperor's advent. My coming brings endless slaughter, endless corpses, endless madness to my god. Chromos roared, swung 2 great axes, flapped his wings, and ran towards the Emperor's arrival. 2. 43%. Chapter 205 Uncle, how can you fight me? Chemos stretched out his huge palm, tearing apart the space, his huge body surging under the torrent of space, accompanied by the sudden appearance of an army of 888.88888888 bloodletters. The pioneers of cruelty have paved the way for the slaughter of Chromos. If it was replaced by other warships, even if it was Admiral Steelwheel and other major civilizations to resist with all their strength, it would be difficult to resist such an offensive. Countless Khorne demons madly bit and slashed the shrouded ships on the Emperor's landing. Void Zero can shield, so-called ants kill elephants. Facing this army of Khorne at this moment, even the Emperor's prophet cannot sit still and wait to die. Full force pushes the antimatter-powered reactor. The proton-to-star disintegration cannon array is charged and ready to launch. FTL antimatter missile fires towards the center, making a bloody path. The rest of the weapons will be dealt with by all the rats who escape the battle circle, free fire. In front of this subspace, Qin Sheng can't use any weapons and devices related to the space, and even the migration system can't work. If he wants to get out of this Khorne encirclement, he can only use hard power to open up the Khorne army in front of him. A loophole, and then turn around with this group of guys. As the O1 order was issued, the bottom deck of the Emperor's landing was opened, and the proton-to-star decomposition guns were arranged in an array. Thousands of proton anti-star decomposition cannons blasted the light curtain, bringing a violent stream of energy light in the emptiness of the universe, and all the Khorne troops were disintegrated and disappeared. You must know that this proton-to-star decomposition cannon is used to bombard the planet, and it is simply too easy to deal with these bloodletters. 1,000 beams of light converged into a strike that was enough to extinguish the star, and the raging impact slammed into the army of bloodletters, tearing a channel in an instant. At the same time, the super-light antimatter missiles bombarded indiscriminately, ending countless Khorne demons, and in front of the endless Khorne encirclement, a vacuum was abruptly opened up. In the battleship group 50 billion kilometers away, Admiral Steelwheel looked at this scene, and was about to drop his chin. What kind of power is this? Can it be that this Dakan Empire is a 6th-level civilization? Quote. In the face of such a wave of demons, let alone a 4th-level civilization, even a 5th-level civilization will be shredded into pieces by the Khorne demons in an instant, and will perish in this universe. At this moment, the battleship of the Dakan Empire not only failed to be destroyed as imagined, but instead defeated the Khorne army in a series of defeats. Through the images from the front line, I felt Qin Sheng's horror. Is it possible that the great Qin Empire really wants to use a warship to beat these Khorne demons back to their hometown? In any case, the Steel Wheel Admiral at this moment at least dare not take action. He pinned all his hopes on Qin Sheng. If Qin Sheng showed a little bit of weakness, the Steel Wheel Admiral would definitely let the first time. Everyone drove the battleship to escape from here. A 5th-level great demon is not something they can tease. In the battlefield, the energy torrent was sloping, taking away hundreds of millions of demons wherever it passed, and every antimatter missile that fell was enough to bomb a vacuum. Run the curvature engine at full power. Drive in the direction of the Eye of the Warp. Qin Sheng gave an order, and the curvature engine at the end of the Emperor's Immortal was running at full speed. The curvature engine of 1200 times the speed of light showed an excellent performance at this moment. But the Emperor's Immortal had just traveled 1 billion kilometers away, but a space crack suddenly appeared on the right wing of the battleship, and the huge figure of Chemos protruded from it. At this moment, Chemos sneered, "Want to run? Despicable bedbugs, today is your day of death." I saw 2 space cracks emerge from the sharp axe wielded by Chemos, and the 2 giant axes smashed on the Void Zero energy shield. For a while, the Emperor's Immortal was bombarded with tremors, and an alarm sound came from the battleship. The shield of Void Zero energy has dropped by 37%, and the remaining shield value is 49%. Qin Sheng was shocked. If it was said that the previous Khorne army attacked, countless Khorne demons bombarded indiscriminately, but the shield of Void Zero energy dropped by 14%, and at this moment, Chemos was only using an axe. It made the shield of Void Zero energy drop by 37%. The remaining shield value can only be hard to resist the attack of Chromos once more. All kinds of thoughts in Qin Sheng's mind ran fast, and in an instant, Qin Sheng said, "All weapon arrays, bombard Chemos, the Tachyon spear array focus on bombarding the giant axe, and the rest of the weapons are fired freely." 1. In an instant, except for the space weapons, all the weapon arrays stretched out from under the steel shell of the Emperor's advent, and a ferocious offensive swept in, wrapping Chemos in an instant. The Tachyon light spears converged into a beam of light and slammed on the giant axe of Chemos, resisting the falling footsteps of the giant axe. At the same time, the proton-to-star decomposition cannon and the superluminal antimatter missile shuttled through the universe, bombarding the huge body of Chemos. For a time, Chemis' body jumped frantically between dismantling and rebuilding in an instant. If all the demons in the Tzeentch camp were the 6th, then the demons in the Khorne camp were definitely reckless men who were wearing 3rd-level armor and 3rd-level heads, and who could use the medical kit in an instant. Under the violent blood force of Khorne, these guys are almost indestructible. Even if the proton-to-star decomposition cannon can decompose all the flesh and blood skeleton of Chemos in an instant 570, but at the same time, these are decomposed. The quark-sized body particles reorganized and aggregated in an instant. The light curtain can only block Chemis' footsteps, but it cannot completely kill Chemos, or even destroy Chemis' body. Qin Sheng's purpose is not to entangle with Chemos, but to destroy the Eye of the Warp first. Only by destroying the Eye of the Warp will no more Khorne demons descend from the Eye of the Warp. The rules will also be recast, and Qin Sheng will be able to use his own space weapons. Now that the main cannon, the Void Collapse Cannon, can't even be used, it is really difficult to face a 5th-level Khorne demon. And after destroying the Eye of the Warp, all these problems were solved, and the mere 5th-level demon was nothing to worry about. As if seeing Qin Sheng's thoughts, Chemos stretched out his huge arms and rushed towards the Emperor's advent like a madman, trying to stop the Emperor's advent's footsteps. At this moment, Qin Sheng chuckled lightly. A sound, Void Zero Energy Shield, charge. 1. Recharging. Void Zero Energy Shield value, 100%. 1. Looking at Chemo's outside the battleship, Qin Sheng smiled and said, Uncle's Void Zero Energy Shield, how can you fight me? 43%. Chapter 206 One-shot smashes your home. Chemo's, who had just escaped from the light curtain artillery fire, swung his axe and fell, but when he hit the Void Zero Energy Shield, apart from making the Emperor's immortal tremble slightly, he did not cause any injuries. A hint of doubt flashed over Chemo's hideous and terrifying head. Compared to Zinch's Bo Dao, Chemo's stupid head couldn't understand why his giant axe couldn't affect the battleship at all. Qin Sheng laughed loudly. Drive at full speed to the eye of the warp. The next moment, the Emperor's landing once again turned into a thin scar that traveled through the universe, heading straight for the eye of the warp. At the same time, all the weapon arrays on the Emperor's advent were locked on Chemo's body, blocking Chemo's tracking. Damn bugs. Damn bugs. I'm going to tear you to shreds and throw you at the flesh hound. Chemo's roared, and the sound waves traveled thousands of light years away, shaking countless stars. I saw Chemo's stretched out his giant axe and slammed it down towards an unowned planet around him. In an instant, the unowned planet fell apart and turned into star core ruins. In this instant, Chemo's smashed dozens of planets around him. The planets were all torn apart, and then frantically grabbed the force of the star's collapse and collapsed into the palm of his hand. In an instant, a violent turbulent star centered on Chemo's was able to impact within a range of tens of thousands of light years. Wherever it passed, the eyes of all intelligent creatures were stained with blood, as if they were in a rage. Began endless slaughter to the surrounding companions. This lethal force from hundreds of millions of living beings gathered in the palm of Chemo's, and in the star core force gathered by dozens of planets, it was like a bloody black hole for a while, and it was destroyed by Chemo's division throws out. The place where the bloody black hole passed, brought endless scarlet, pulled a trailing tail in the universe, and smashed it on the Emperor's advent. Boom. At the moment when the two were connected, the bloody black hole exploded, and the turbid to dark blood was like a turbulent tsunami slapping on the Void Zero Energy Shield, and the brutal force surged up, and the star core could be called the destruction of the sky and the earth. Power, coupled with the bloody corn aura that Chemo's fully urged, the two perfectly merged in the bloody black hole. The Void Zero Energy Shield is damaged, and the shield value is 51% too. The Void Zero Energy Shield is damaged, and the shield value is 7%. Void Zero Energy Shield is damaged, please leave the chapter to recharge. An alarm came from the Emperor's immortal. Under the offensive of this bloody black hole, after a few breaths, the Void Zero Energy Shield, which had reached the peak of the 5th level, was destroyed and consumed. The bloody river spewed out from the black hole, and the viscous liquid flowed on the battleship, obscuring all weapon arrays, wrapping and blocking them, and even making all weapon arrays ineffective in a short period of time. But when the bloody river was densely covered on the Emperor's advent, Qin Sheng suddenly discovered that this force, even more conspicuous in filth, could only pollute the consciousness of the living being, causing it to fall into a state of madness, as if Korn's demons are mad and only know how to kill. But unfortunately, the erosion of your 4 evil gods has no effect on my Qin Sheng at all. With the operation of the Emperor's halo, it was densely covered on the entire Emperor's immortal. In an instant, the bloody river was like a mouse encountering a cat. It frantically turned back towards the bloody black hole, as if staying on the battleship for even a second, it would generally destroyed. Billions of kilometers away, Chemo's looked at the scene in disbelief. This move combined his most powerful strength, coupled with the remaining star energy in the star core, is the fear of Chemo's. The only thing that the tyrannical demon masters is a trick, but in this situation, it seems that Chemo's whole card has no influence on the battleship. Roar. After several attempts in vain, Chemo's, the great corn demon with a weak head, was completely mad. He waved his double axe like a primitive beast, stretched out his hand and ripped apart the space, and went straight to Qin Sheng. Seeing that the bloody river was all gone, Qin Sheng suddenly smiled. Void Zero Energy Shield, charge. Recharging. Void Zero Energy Shield value, 100%. When the giant axe landed on the battleship again, it still couldn't cause any damage to the Emperor's advent. Killing you 10,000 times is not enough. Chemo's roared wildly, and the giant axe in his hand turned into a storm, and in an instant, it turned into countless heavy blows, and fell on the Void Zero Energy Shield. But this kind of offensive can't affect the Void Zero Energy Shield in the slightest. Every time some shield value is consumed, the Void Zero Energy Shield will be automatically drawn from the surrounding space, looking at the incompetent rage. Chemos, Qin Sheng shook his head involuntarily. Needless to say, this corn great demon really doesn't have the slightest brain compared to the great demon under Zincha's command. If Chemos had just used the slash together with the bloody black hole, Qin Sheng would have taken this guy seriously, but such a round of attacks by Ding Mao Mao would not affect Qin Sheng in the slightest. Backquote. Detected that the Eye of the Warp has entered the attack range of the Emperor's Advent. Qin Sheng nodded. All weapon arrays, divert the target, and bombard the Eye of the Warp with extreme firepower. As the dense array of weapons transferred the dark barrels from Chemos to the Eye of the Warp, the torrent of energy slanted out, and the Tachyon lance, paired with the proton to star decomposition cannon, moved the 88 in front of the warp. The planets were bombarded and shattered in just over 10 breaths. All the Chaos Apostles have been left behind by Qin Sheng, and now all the planets are without owners. Without the protection of shields, all the planets can't even resist the bombardment of the protons to the star decomposition artillery. As these planets shattered, the restrictions on space weapons in the Eye of the Warp became weaker. Li Jiao's "Can I use space weapons?" After testing, this star field can use some space weapons. The Emperor's Rendezvous space weapon, Pan-Space Singularity Missile Launch Array. Banned space weapons. Void Singularity Collapse Cannon, 4D Space Cage Blocking Device. 1. Qin Sheng nodded slightly. It seems that the indestructible space outside the Eye of the Warp has been shaken at this moment. The Pan-Space Singularity Missile Launch Array is activated, bombarding the 8 stars in the Eye of the Warp with all their strength. Qin Sheng gave an order, and on the deck of the Emperor's Advent, a Pan-Space Singularity Missile Launch Array was raised. As long as the 8 stars are destroyed, this Eye of the Subspace can naturally be easily solved. At this moment, Chemos was still dealing with the Void Zero energy shield outside the battleship, and Qin Sheng sneered when he looked at the stupid and rough appearance outside the battleship. Break your home with one shot. G. 1. 43%. Chapter 207. The Void Singularity Collapse Cannon shows its mighty power. The torrent of energy rushed towards the 8 stars frantically. When the light curtain spewed by the proton to star decomposition cannon swept across, the light of the stars became extremely dim. When all the elements were decomposed, the stars collapsed and shattered. The skeleton-like stars were stirred under the blood-colored vortex of the Eye of the Warp and swept into the depths of the warp. Seeing this scene, Chemos became even more mad, but under the protection of the Void Zero energy shield, Qin Sheng was not afraid of Chemos, who was holding a double axe. The Devil's Bai Dao, this Kamasko is not only courageous, but now with the blessing of the Void Zero energy shield, even this bravery has become ridiculous. The entire array of weapons on the Emperor's Advent poured their full firepower into the Eye of the Warp. After a few seconds, when the protons launched the third round of attacks on the star dissociation cannon, the last star standing in the Eye of the Warp also appeared. Then it collapsed and collapsed, turning into nothingness that filled the sky and dissipated. The Eye of the Warp was completely exposed to Qin Sheng's sight. Without the protection of these skeletal planets and stars, the entire Eye of the Warp is like a soldier who has lost his armor. The Pan-Space Singularity Missile Launch Array spit out fire tongues for the last time, and bursts of cannonballs that were enough to cause 573 space fluctuations shot out, pouring into the blood-colored vortex of the Eye of the Warp, and the entire Eye of the Warp began to tremble violently for a while. The rotation speed of the blood-colored vortex is also accelerating. Fire! Qin Sheng gave an order, and all the firepower concentrated on the center of the Eye of the Warp. As the loud bang rose, the entire Eye of the Warp spewed out violent spiritual energy. This spiritual energy was not as pure as the one cultivated by Qin Sheng, but was rather complicated. Among them were killing and bloodshed, means the most intense. Although Korn, including Korn's Legion, is extremely scornful of psionic energy, this Eye of the Warp is not a product of Korn alone, but it is from the Warp that the violent psionic energy is used as a medium to communicate with the Warp, and a bridge to reality. When this violent psychic energy with a stable stock capital and an operating order collapsed, all the established order and rules began to return to chaos, and finally smoothed and disappeared under the catalysis of the real space of the universe, and the huge blood-colored vortex seemed to flow from there has never been a general, and there is a blank star field in the position that belongs to the Eye of the Warp. Do not. Chemos roared. This Eye of the Warp has been built for nearly 1,000 years under the operation of the Chaos Apostle, and the space of the Warp has been continuously sending energy to this place for nearly 1,000 years to maintain the Warp, the operation of the Eye. And at this moment, thousands of years of hard work were wasted by Qin Sheng's effortless shots. I'm going to tear you up. I'm going to tear you up. Damn bug, ruining my master's well-polished plan. The frantic roar of Chemos came from above the Emperor's advent. I saw that the huge figure of Chemos was crawling on top of the void zero energy shield on the Emperor's advent, and the body that covered the sky and the sun shrouded it. Qin Sheng's line of sight. Chemos stretched out his huge arm, grasped the Emperor's advent, and for a while, under the pull of that strange force, the void zero energy shield was even torn apart by a crack. The terrifying head of Chemos came in through the crack, and the sharp devil's horns were filled with blood and fury, ready to stab the Emperor's advent. At this moment, a black cannon barrel stretched out from the steel body of the Emperor's advent, and under the cannon barrel, the precise instruments flowed with the power that belonged to space. Void Singularity Collapse Cannon, ready to charge. For a while, the reactor system began to operate with power, and the vacuum zero-point energy was transformed into void zero-point energy under the catalysis of the two. Different from the autonomous absorption of the void zero energy shield, the void singularity collapse cannon needs the combined force of the reactor and the collapse cannon to absorb the void zero energy. When the Majestic and ABFC pure space force poured into the void singularity collapse cannon, a pitch-black light spot condensed in front of the barrel. When the light spot appeared, the space began to flow from outside to inside. It collapsed, as if a black hole distorted space-time. This situation was as if an iron ball had been pressed on top of a plastic film. The black light spots became more and more violent, and the power flowed out, cracking the surrounding space into fine cracks. Chemos looked at the pitch-black cannon barrel aimed at his forehead, and felt that the power in the cannon barrel forgot to shoot for a while, but the next second, he had no chance. The dark beam of light rushed out and penetrated through Chemos, and then this beam of light even reached tens of thousands of light years away. Wherever it passed, all the spaces were distorted, collapsed, and died, and finally in the self-repair of the universe, down, back to good. But the space has returned to good, and all the stars above this path have all turned into dust, as if they never existed, completely empty. This beam of light surged for more than 10 seconds, and all the void zero points could be consumed. At the same time, Chemist's body was completely decomposed under this violent beam of light. Even for Korn, there is a limit to rebuilding his body. The power of a single blow from the void singularity collapse cannon has already made the consumption of Chemos unable to keep up with the injuries caused by the void singularity collapse cannon. Under the bombardment of this cannon, all the particles were wiped out under the collapse of space, not to mention quarks, and they didn't even bring you a breath. With just one shot, Chemist's physical body disappeared, and his spiritual existence was exiled back to the subspace, and he could no longer do evil in the world. A good thing is indeed the product of a fifth-level civilization. Qin Sheng praised without hesitation. The singularity of the void collapsed the cannon, and only one cannon was enough to kill all the fifth-level demons. At least in the fifth-level civilization stage, Qin Sheng is already invincible in the world. However, Qin Sheng also knew in his heart that the gap between each civilization after the fourth level was like a gulf, and the sixth-level civilization was already able to use regular weapons, and weapons of that level were more ferocious than the void singularity collapse cannon. Hundreds of billions of kilometers away, Admiral Drumwheel swallowed and pointed at the operation screen with trembling fingers. All battleships, the whole army will attack, and wipe out the army of Korn demons. Under the power of Qin Sheng's cannonball, Chemos led the lunch back to the warp, and these bloodletters became nothing to worry about for them. With the shots of several major civilizations, the end of this battle has also been cleaned up. 43%. Chapter 208 Star Map and Basic Technology of Level 5 Civilization. Judgment of the Holy See. The 5th level extra numerical civilization, the Great Qin Empire. Novice Saint. Mission accepted. Mission objective. Destroy Yorbo and the hatching warp eye within the galaxy. Task completed. Mission reward. Own requirements mission contribution value 9-9.99%. In front of the huge image light curtain, Qin Sheng and several other civilized commanders waited for the judge in the light curtain to speak. In the light curtain, the judge was dressed in a holy white robe, with gold threads embellished with some simple runes, and accessories made of rare earth. Except for the dense blue light spots on both sides of its cheeks, the rest is not much different from the human race. Everyone, I didn't expect you to accomplish this task so perfectly. Please report your quest contribution value, and then divide the reward range by the Holy See of Judgment. Don't lie, pay attention, don't lie. As the Inquisitor's voice fell, Agaslug touched his nose embarrassedly. 0.003% contribution value. 1. On the side, the civilization creature that looks similar to the dinosaur also turned his head and said, 0.0008% contribution value. A civilized creature with a monkey head and a mantis body said, 0.0022% contribution value. Admiral Steel Wheel, 0.004% contribution value. Qin Sheng looked around and said slowly, 99.99% contribution value. 1 inch. In addition to these 4 civilizations, the number of corn demons killed by the remaining 2 civilizations is not even enough for them to enjoy contribution points. The judge tapped his fingers on the table a few times, and Ben's amiable face also showed some doubts and impatience. Don't lie, I repeat it for the last time. Although the Dakin Empire is the first time to go to war, but you guys are not so good, you want to seek welfare for him, right? Admiral Drumwheel took a deep breath and said loudly, "To Your Excellency, we did not lie about any military situation. Indeed, in this battle, the Dakin Empire almost defeated all the Corn Demon army and destroyed the Eye of Warp." With that said, Admiral Steel Wheel told the judge all the unbelievable scenes he had just seen on the battlefield, even the unbelievable battle scenes. Seeing that the judge still didn't believe it, Admiral Steel Wheel even took out the light and shadow recording equipment on his battleship. Several 3-dimensional light curtains formed the appearance of the Emperor's advent, and then perfectly reproduced the Emperor's admiral. A dazzling performance in the face of chromos. Laplace, Tachyon spears and superluminal antimatter missiles frantically destroyed the warships of the Chaos Apostles, and the proton-to-star decomposition cannons consumed the endless corn demons, and finally the help of the Void Zero energy shield and the Void Singularity collapse cannon below, one blow kills Korn, the great demon Chemos, and this battle situation can be called wonderful. When Admiral Steel Wheel put away the light and shadow recording device, even the judge's face showed a hint of consternation, and his gaze towards Qin Sheng changed a little. How did you do it? After a long while, the judge sent out the doubts in the minds of all the commanders present. Qin Sheng touched his nose. It's easy. 1. Invisibly, Qin Sheng installed Wave 1 again. In terms of reward for meritorious deeds, this time the rest of the civilizations can't be earned by Mao. Qin Sheng's performance only leaves them with a contribution value of 0.01 for the 7 civilizations to share together. Even if they are divided, they can exchange the reward. 1 is not even enough to maintain the loss of the battleship dispatched this time in the later period. Qin Sheng's family is the only one, but they don't know what kind of rewards they can get. Several other major civilizations consciously retired, and in the end, only Qin Sheng was left in front of the shadow screen. The Inquisitor coughed lightly. According to your civilization's performance this time, below level 6, you can choose as you like. 1. The nearest Judgment Vatican is 72,000 light years away. Do you choose to go to the treasure house to select rewards? Qin Sheng shook his head when he heard the words. I have already thought about the rewards that I need, a full set of basic technology of the 5th level civilization, enough. 1. The judge did not seem to have thought about why Qin Sheng chose such a reward. According to Qin Sheng's performance this time, the Holy See is willing to give even the 5th level peak reward of judgment. What's more, just relying on the performance of the Emperor's prophet, it has been shown that Qin Sheng does not need a 5th level civilization at all. Basic technology. But what the Inquisitor did not expect was that the only Emperor's advent is in Qin Sheng's hands today, which can be regarded as a well-deserved 5th level peak battleship, and the rest have not even touched the edge of the 5th level civilization. Here it is. 0. Only after obtaining the basic technology of the 5th level civilization can Qin Sheng rely on the dependency system to create things, and can completely step into the boundary of the 5th level civilization. At that time, I will save enough dimensional source points and install the Void Singularity collapsing cannon on all the 5th level warships. It can only be said that the picture is too beautiful. Qin Sheng can't imagine it. After a while, a reply came from the judge. There is no problem at all with this reward. After consultation with the Holy See, I will give you a special star map. Star map. Qin Sheng is a little puzzled. Can such a thing judge the Holy See as a bonus? A star map covering a quarter of the observable universe. Hearing the judge's answer, Qin Sheng's heart was filled with a storm. This is not that Qin Sheng has not seen the world, to know that in the boundless universe, even in the last life, even in the end, it seems that all Shanghai game players do not know what the edge of the universe is. This also shows from another aspect that the universe is really big, and even if you can span thousands of trillions of light years, you will not be close to the edge of the universe. As soon as the Holy See of Judgment made a move, it took out a star map of a quarter of the observable universe. Wait, observable. Qin Sheng regained his mind, and only then did he realize that the star map had 3 observable characters. According to the experience of Qin Sheng's last life, in the end, the scope of the observable universe is only nearly 100 billion light years. At this moment, the judge slowly said, "This star map can roughly observe a range of 700 billion light years in diameter, but the only problem is that the judgment church closest to you is too low level. Such a treasure is naturally impossible to store there. You need to go to the Vice Hall of the Holy See of Judgment 3.7 billion light years away to get this star map." Qin Sheng nodded. There's nothing wrong with that. Later on, the basic technology of the 5th level civilization will be transmitted to you through electronic transmission. Thank you very much for joining the Holy See of Judgment as an extra staff civilization. I look forward to seeing you again next time. When the light curtain closed, Qin Sheng took a deep breath. It has to be said that the judgment of the Holy See is really rich. A star map with an observable diameter of 700 billion light years, excited to think about it. Pill. 43%. Chapter 209 Level 5 Peak Technology. After receiving the 5th level civilization basic technology from the Holy See of Judgment, the sound of the system came. Congratulations on obtaining the basic technology of the 5th level civilization. 10,000 times increase. Congratulations on obtaining the peak technology of the 5th level civilization. Peak technology of the 5th level civilization, covering almost all the killers and defense methods of the 5th level civilization. Now that the basic technology of Emperor's Landing has reached the peak of level 5, Qin Sheng has obtained the basic technology of level 5 civilization, and naturally he can also gain a 10,000-fold increase. But now that it has reached the 5th level civilization, even if it is a 10,000-fold increase, it can only make the 5th level civilization basic technology reach the peak of the 5th level civilization from the entry of the 5th level civilization, and it is impossible to break through the limit to reach the 6th level civilization. After a little thought, Qin Sheng understood the cause and effect. The span between the 4th level civilization and the 5th level civilization is extremely huge. What the 4th level, 573, civilization can grasp is still at the level of microscopic particles, and at the 5th level, it has begun to understand the zero-point energy of the void and the space level. Large-scale scientific research and development, most weapons can even bombard you with no microscopic particles left, completely erasing you from this world. But in any case, there has not been a qualitative change between the 4th level civilization and the 5th level civilization, but only the improvement of technology. However, the changes in the 5th level civilization are all paving the way for the 6th level civilization. From the aspect of weapons alone, the weapons that can be mastered by a 6th level civilization involve obtaining the law of causality, basic rules, underlying logic, etc., and fundamentally tamper with the basics of all the universes that belong to this side. For example, if a 5th level civilization wants to fire a cannon, it needs to first lift the weapon from the deck of the battleship, then charge it up and fire the cannon. When the cannon fire falls on the enemy, it will cause damage. However, the law of causality is different. Distorting the causal relationship has already involved 4 dimensions. When the weapon of causality is used, the 2 characters of causality no longer have a sequential relationship, and it is even possible to reverse the causal relationship. Such a level of technology is beyond the grasp of a 5th level civilization anyway. Even if Qin Sheng obtained the 5th level peak civilization and increased it 10,000 times, he could not reach the 6th level foundation, but could only reach the 5th level ceiling. After Qin Sheng got everything he deserved, he also left this star field, and took the Emperor's advent to activate the space transition system and headed to the dwarf galaxy that he had previously deployed. Admiral Steelwheel and others who had not yet left watched the opening of the Hole of Light, and the Emperor's immortal departed with great emotion. This kind of existence is too terrifying. When I return to ancient Morris, I must tell the high-level officials that I can't provoke the Dakan Empire no matter what. Agasleech thought. At the same time, Admiral Steelwheel and others on the side also had this idea in their hearts. With the operation of the space transition system, 1 day later, the Emperor's immortal came to the dwarf galaxy, the star system controlled by the Dakan Empire. On a planet belonging to the Dakan Empire. When the Emperor's advent arrived here, Ella was the first to enter the Emperor's advent and rushed into Qin Sheng's arms to act like a spoiled child, followed by Yeshuang. Neil stood obediently to one side, followed by with the arrival of Anbaria, the atmosphere suddenly became a little awkward. Anbaria pulled Ella and Yeshuang away, and then naturally sat on Qin Sheng's lap. Emperor, you are back. Qin Sheng touched his nose, looked around, and patted Anvelia with a light cough. I have something serious to talk about. Anvelia stood up wisely, but she still served next to Qin Sheng, as if declaring her sovereignty. Ella and Yi Shuang stared at Anvelia with eyes that could not wait to be slashed, but Anvelia turned a blind eye. Qin Sheng said slowly, "This trip has been fruitful, and I have obtained a full set of basic technology of the 5th level civilization from the hands of the Judgment Holy See." Having said that, Qin Sheng opened the electronic access network and threw the information to Anvelia. A gleam of light flashed in Anvelia's eyes, and after receiving it, she showed a faint smile. With this 5th level civilization basic technology and these days of research, it is enough for the Great Qin Empire to step into the 5th level civilization. Qin Sheng nodded. He naturally trusted Anvelia's ability. You must know that some 4th level civilizations, even if they have mastered the basic technology of 5th level civilization, but you can't understand or research, naturally you can't step into 5th level civilization. But these are nothing to Anvelia. A few days later, Anvelia thoroughly digested and absorbed all the knowledge related to the basic technology of the 5th level civilization. The span from level 4 to level 5 has resulted in extremely mixed knowledge points in the level 5 civilization, with each link intertwined. It is far more than the 0-point energy of a vacuum, thousands of times of 0. The difference between the 4th level civilization and the 5th level civilization leads to one in the sky and one in the ground. No amount of tier 4 civilizations can shake the status of a tier 5 civilization in the slightest. Of course, with the exception of such valuables as the Great Qin Empire that Qin Sheng held. Tactical doll. K1 Anvelia. Race. Silicon creature, tactical humanoid. Body length. 182 cm. Level. LV.49. Occupation. Researcher. Passive skill. Supercomputer, hash level. Quantum Turing level. Potential upper limit. SSS. After thoroughly mastering the basic technology of the 5th level civilization, Anvelia's level and computing power level have ushered in a qualitative leap, reaching the Quantum Turing level. It is no exaggeration to say that today's Anvelia can instantly grasp all the epics of a 4th level civilization in 100,000th of a second. With the collaboration of Yeshuang and Anvelia, the Dakan Empire completely built a Tier 5 battleship for the first time. Battleship name, unnamed. Battleship class, Emperor Yongle, class super battleship. Battleship length, 31 kilometers. Width, 9 kilometers. Battleship armor material, strange matter degenerate fluid armor. Internal stabilizer, antimatter and strange matter positive and negative superposition stabilizers. Shield system, independent void zero energy shield correction, can be independently powered, and can be powered by the 5.2 void zero energy intake reactor energy supply system. Weaponry, main cannon, void singularity collapse cannon ×3. Other weapons, star nuclear energy material decomposition launch array ×500. Proton and neutron double tube fragmentation emission array x500. Hundreds of trillions of void zeros can propel the superlight cannon ×25. Large-scale 4-dimensional space cage blocking device. Energy system, empty zero energy reactor. Engine system, 300 series installations of 3,000 times the speed of light curvature engine. Transition system, large star system space transition system. Interstellar black hole transition system. Warp transition system. Under the blessing of a full set of 5-level peak technology, this battleship has reached an even more terrifying level. 2. 44%. Chapter 210 Alien Natural Disasters Come, the 5th level battleship group. Please name this battleship. Qin Sheng thought for a moment, then said slowly, Zonkang Killing God. Named. Zonkang Killing God. With the name of this battleship, the technological civilization of the Dakan Empire has also reached the 5th level. Announcement of Shanghai Game Servers. The Great Qin Empire has entered the 5th level civilization, and the first player to enter the 5th level civilization will receive a special reward. I am the only one. 1. I am the only one. Immune to 30% of the attack damage of all forces under the Chaos Evil God. 10,000 times increase. Congratulations on your achievement, Eternal Emperor. Eternal Emperor. Immune to all creatures' attack damage by 40%. Seeing the ferocity of this achievement, Rao Shi Qin Sheng couldn't help being surprised. Immune to the attack damage of all creatures to a full 40% level. As a result, the power that the 5th level demon can display in front of Qin Sheng can only reach the level of the 4th level demon, which is almost reduced, half of its strength. What's more, this is not only in the face of chaos heretic God, including all other creatures, all damage caused to oneself will be reduced by 40%, which is extremely terrifying. Oh, one worthy of being the emperor of all ages. At this moment, in the Milky Way, countless Shanghai players who have not yet left the Milky Way are already stunned at this moment. Level 5 Civilization. Quote, how on earth did the Deccan Empire do it? How many years have it been, and it has already reached the 5th level of civilization? Monster, a well-deserved monster. Shanghai Games can now bring Qin Sheng, except for the title of achievement, there are almost no rewards that can make Qin Sheng tempted. Immediately afterwards, the voice of the Shanghai game system came from the ears of all Shanghai players. Because the Deccan Empire has entered the 5th level civilization, natural disasters are about to come. Filtering. After testing, except for the Deccan Empire, most players are still in a low-level civilization. Disasters have changed. Alien natural disasters. The 5th evil god descends. 1. Hearing this system prompt sound, Qin Sheng's heart trembled. The butterfly effect finally happened, and the trajectory in the future has been different from what I knew in my previous life. 5th evil god. After a long while, the prompt sound of the Shanghai game system sounded again. The 5th evil god Mara, a product abandoned by the warp chaos. Enemy against everything, chaos, the universe, and even himself, is called disgusting by the warp chaos god. All the apostles under Mara will attack any creature, and players can use this to make detours. Mara, ostracized by the warp, will occupy a star field alone as its stronghold. Filtering. Sloan Great Wall System Galaxy Wall will be used as Mara's stronghold. Quote. Finally, when the sound of the system fell, Qin Sheng's heart rose again. You must know that the Sloan Great Wall is second only to the giant wall of galaxies in the Hercules Northern Corona Great Wall system in the observable universe today. Under the promotion of the Shanghai game system, the entire Sloan Great Wall has directly become Mara's stronghold, which is too terrifying. Mara recovers, and her strength is 0.01% at its peak. As time goes by, Mara's strength will become stronger and stronger. Please leave the galaxy as soon as possible. The Sloan Great Wall is about 1 billion light-years away from the Milky Way, and this radius will eventually be swallowed up and destroyed by Mara. Note that Mara's apostles, including the demons under Mara's subordinates, will strike indiscriminately on everything. Please make good use of this feature. Quote. In the Sloan Great Wall system, a space crack spanning more than 10 light-years tore apart violently, and the aura of destruction emerged from it, and even the galaxy was infected and assimilated in an instant, and countless creatures were instantly infected. He incarnated and became an apostle of merit. Fierce and brutal chaos demons are like locusts passing through the border, and they pour out from the cracks in the space. The appearance of these chaos demons is different from the demons under the command of the other 4 evil gods. It has a head like a cow, but its giant teeth are like sharp knives, flickering fiercely. A long-lost reality. A giant shadow emerged from the crack in the space. Its body was as huge as several light-years. It was covered in darkness that made people tremble. A finger, with a hideous and terrifying head with a sinister smile, as the huge arm stretched and pointed to the space in the distance, Mara roared, "Destroy everything. War is foolish, pestilence is spit, pleasure is low, strategy is useless. Destroy hatred, destroy all things. Praise destruction, praise hatred." Mara's demon apostles cheered wildly, and countless demons rushed to the galaxy planet, slaughtering everything, and finally destroying the planet. The conditions for wanting to be under the command of Mara are extremely simple. Just follow the footsteps of chaos, destroy everything, and then join the command of Mara. In just a few days, the galaxy group of nearly 1 million light-years of the Sloan Great Wall system has been completely reduced to the territory of Mara. Under the nourishment of the faith of countless believers, Mara's strength is slowly recovering. In the subspace, Korn roared and swung the battle axe in his hand, slashing everything he could see. Mara. Despicable product. Why did you come back to this world? Above Tzeentch's treacherous bird's head, his eyes full of conspiracy and tactics shone brightly, and he sat on the throne for a long time without saying a word. 573 Seiko swayed his body, but Mara's reappearance had caused this evil god who had been sinking into endless joy to even give up the joy that he depended on for a living in a short period of time, and his eyes shone with light. Nurgle's kind face also showed a trace of sternness. It seems that the appearance of Mara has changed the mentality of this kind father a little. Qin Sheng didn't have the slightest understanding of this Mara, and the alien natural disaster had never been heard of even in the previous life. But no matter what, the addition of a new evil god to the lineup of chaos demons is a disaster for Qin Sheng, and even for the entire universe. Raise the battleship group as soon as possible. Raise all the battleships to rank 5, and then set off for the Great Wall of the Northern Mianzuo of the martial immortal throne. Qin Sheng gave an order, and under the leadership of Anbelia, Yeshuang and Neil, began the transformation of the Dakan Empire's battleship group. On the other hand, Long Mo and Ella led the generals to hunt down those mechanical civilizations in the universe, in order to obtain enough dimension source points. If so, 10 years are fleeting. Today's Dakan Empire has reached the pinnacle of the 5th level civilization, and all the battleship groups have undergone the transformation of the 5th level technology. An invincible 5th tier battleship group stands in this dwarf galaxy, showing the glory of the Emperor. 44%. Chapter 211. The Unrivaled Emperor's Advent. Civilization name: Great Qin Di Kingdom. Civilization level: Level 5 Peak Civilization. Main race of civilization: Tactical Dolls. Kikiram Jellyfish Girl, Tactical Doll Girl, Sanghaili Elite Girl, Ether Dragon Girl, Canary Machine Soul Clan. Civilization territory: the Sagittarius Cantilever of the Western Milky Way, centered on Narcissus, with a radius of 2,500 light-years around. Total civilization population: 840 billion. Military strength: 1 Emperor's Linshi, 12 million battleships of the 5th level peak Yongle Great Emperor. After the Dakan civilization has reached the 5th level, Qin Sheng chose to give up the cumbersome Battlestar, and instead put all his energy on building the battleship. The Battlestar stayed in this dwarf galaxy, and Qin Sheng chose to stay a part of civilization developed in this dwarf galaxy. Today's Great Qin civilization has reached the peak of the 5th level civilization. In the entire universe, as long as it does not die and encounters a 6th level civilization, Qin Sheng can walk sideways. Even if he encounters a 6th level civilization, Qin Sheng is sure to escape before the opponent uses the weapon of causality. Today's Emperor's Linshi has also ushered in a new round of upgrades under the blessing of the 5th level peak civilization technology. Battleship name: Emperor Advent. Battleship class: Eternal 1 Emperor, class super battleship. Warship length: 40 kilometers. Width: 10 kilometers. Warship armor material: Singular matter degenerate fluid armor, empty 0-point energy superposition state attachment fluid. Internal stabilization device: antimatter and strange matter positive and negative superposition state stabilization device. Shield system: independent void 0-point energy superimposed shield, can be independently powered, and can be powered by the void 0-point energy intake reactor energy supply system. Weaponry: main cannon, Purgatory Ray Launcher X1. Other weapons: Particle Tachyon Double State Coexistence Light Spear Launcher Array × 3000. Neutron Kill Launcher × 1. False Realm Transformation Device J-Star × 5. A large 4-dimensional space cage sealing device. Energy system: Void 0-point energy reactor in supergiant space. Engine system: 3000 times the speed of light curvature engine, 300 serial devices. Transition system: large-scale star system space transition system. Intergalactic black hole transition system. Subspace transition system. For the Emperor Linshi, apart from the fact that Qin Sheng is once again above the Emperor class, adding the rank of Emperor Yidi, the biggest change that differentiates it from other warships is its weaponry. The improvement of the scientific research level has allowed Qin Sheng to touch more advanced weapons. The main gun has changed from the Void Singularity Collapse Cannon to the Purgatory Ray. The power of this ray is not inferior to the Void Singularity Collapse Cannon, and its charging time is shorter, the lethality and range are even more terrifying. In the previous life, Qin Sheng clearly remembered that players in the Xinghai game even called the Purgatory Ray the 4th natural disaster. Enough to see its strength. The Particle Tachyon 2-state coexisting light spear emission array combines the advantages of both the particle light spear and the tachyon light spear, combining the strong penetrating power of the particle light spear and the extreme speed of the tachyon light spear into a more powerful state. And this array has also been used as the most important array weapon on the Emperor's Advent, fully loaded with 30,000 tachyon dual-state coexisting light spears. As for the subsequent neutron-killing launcher, it is the pinnacle product that the 5th level civilization can achieve. The proton star disintegration cannon requires at least 2 rounds of attacks from 100 arrays to completely wipe out a planet, but for neutron killing, only 1 launch is enough to destroy a planet. This is a gap of 2,000 times. The last virtual environment modification device, the star fighting device, is also an anti-star weapon, and 5 of them were assembled at Taikong's request. Different from the direct broken star, this virtual environment modification device, the star-killing star, has almost touched the threshold of the 6th-level civilization. The properties of the void tend to be the same, and are finally assimilated by the universe itself, becoming nothingness. Such a weapon shouldn't exist in a 5th-level civilization, but with all kinds of blessings, Qin Sheng's Great Qin Empire can have 1,000 times the speed of scientific research, and Anwei Lia and Yi Shuang are both it is to master extraordinary knowledge and forcibly create such a product. It can be said that every single weapon on the Emperor's advent today is comparable to the Void Singularity Collapse Cannon and used as the main gun of other civilizations. It can be seen that the Qin Empire is rich and powerful. After 10 years of hard work, the Great Qin Empire has become a stable overlord in the universe, but what makes Qin Sheng a little depressed is that after he entered the 5th-level civilization, the system did not upgrade again, reaching 10th level. 10,000 times increase. It seems that the 10,000-fold increase is already the limit of the system, but if the 6th-level civilization and the 7th-level civilization do not reach the threshold, even if the system can give you a quadrillion-fold increase, it is also impossible to increase the upgraded civilization to a 6th-level civilization. For the next road, Qin Sheng needs to go on his own. When the last battleship was completely remodeled and reached the level of Emperor Yongle, Qin Sheng gave an order to call for a group of 10 million battleships to head for the Vice Hall of the Holy See 3.7 billion light-years away. In this dwarf galaxy, Qin Sheng chose to leave 300 billion people and 2 million Yongle Emperor battleships for no other reason. On the one hand, it is to continue the incense of the Great Qin civilization. It's not that far away from the Milky Way. Now that the 5th evil god Mara has descended, Qin Sheng is a human race after all, and he doesn't want to see the Milky Way be infected. Leaving such a battleship group is also to protect the Milky Way. 2 million battleships of the Yongle Great Emperor level, as long as it is not a level 6 monster descending, no matter what level 5 monster you are, they will all be blasted back to your hometown. The Emperor's advent led the fleet of battleships towards the Vatican Hall of Judgment 3.7 billion light-years away. 3.7 billion light-years honors is not a short distance. Qin Sheng enjoyed a life like a real emperor on the Emperor's advent, and 3 months passed in a flash. On this day, Qin Sheng was taking a nap when the Emperor's advent sent a reminder. Quote, a distress message came from 40,000 light-years away from you, do you want to check back? Quote. Qin Sheng raised his eyebrows. Look, I don't know if this news can be spread. If anyone can accept it, please lend a hand and help me. Now is the 561st year of the 3200th cycle of the star era. Our civilization has been invaded by the messenger of chaos in the lowliest galaxy. Thank you very much for your help. New creator civilization. Qin Sheng rubbed his chin. The star period is a calendar commonly recognized by countless civilizations in the universe. There are 3,200 rounds and 561 years. Isn't that the same as now? Search for sources of distress information and go to the lowliest galaxy. 44%. Chapter 212. Let the fire of civilization in the Great Qin Empire illuminate the entire universe. With the operation of the Space Leap engine, the fleet of the Emperor's advent crossed the light hole and carried out the leap. After several jumps like this, a light hole stretching thousands of kilometers appeared in the lowliest galaxy, and all the fleets of the Great Qin Empire poured in from it. At the same time, the system heard the sound again, and it has locked onto the location where the message came from, which is not too far from the outer edge of the lowliest galaxy. The 3,000 times light speed curvature engine drove the Emperor's advent to a gallop. After a while, a tragic scene appeared in Qin Sheng's sight. In a star field in the distance, 7 planets seemed to be completely wrapped in glue, filled with diseases and plagues, and hundreds of warships were wrapped in them. The powerful gravitational force came from all directions, pulling and tearing the only planet. Hundreds of warships survived. On the outskirts of these 7 planets, there are countless warships of the Apostles of Chaos, but these warships are no exception. It is sinister, but a burst of black death energy that encompasses everything. It is obvious that the power contained in it makes life impossible, but it radiates an all-encompassing kindness. Qin Sheng knew at a glance that these apostles of chaos should believe in the benevolent Father Nurgle 213. Sensing a familiar source of information from among the hundreds of warships, Qin Sheng was sure that he was not late, at least there were hundreds of warships still alive. I am the Emperor of the Great Qin Empire. I have received your distress signal and am here to help. As he spoke, Qin Sheng waved his hand. Purgatory ray, activate. On the deck of the Emperor's Advent, several mechanical arms made of black-red metal stretched out, and slightly closed towards the center. Bursts of electromagnetic force were activated, and the 0 points of the void poured into it crazily. Under the change of electromagnetism, it transforms into a more intense energy body. After a few breaths, a blazing star-like light group gathered at the very center of several mechanical arms. In the next moment, there are tens of billions of fierce and hot beams of light sprayed out, penetrating through the distance of thousands of light years. The beams of light are only the thickness of an arm, and can't even be seen in this huge universe, but it is such a ray, wherever they pass, all warships will be destroyed in an instant even at a distance of hundreds of millions of kilometers. The fifth natural disaster is worthy of the name. When the purgatory ray fell on the 7 planets, a violent CIBD manic stream of light swept across the entire planet in an instant, and all the foul and dead air was burned and gasified, and then this stream of light was even stronger than that on the surface. Destroy the star core from the core. Qin Sheng watched the invincible posture displayed by the purgatory ray through the porthole, and nodded involuntarily. This is the case at the 5th level peak. If you want to become stronger, you will definitely break away from the 5th level boundary. No matter what kind of weapon, it can't reach the more exaggerated thickness of purgatory. In just a few breaths, 4 of the 7 planets have been destroyed, and the Chaos Apostle battleship that surrounded the new creator civilization was almost wiped out. When hundreds of thousands of warships encounter purgatory rays, it is as if a pot of boiling water is poured into an ant nest. Even if there are 10 times more, they cannot resist the power of purgatory rays at all. In the end, the gravitational force of the 7 planets was cut off, and the new creator civilization got a chance to breathe and escaped from the encirclement of the planets. The Emperor's Advent stands tall in the universe. Like the master of the universe, it is not an exaggeration to say that it is invincible. Thank you for your life-saving grace. I am the leader of the new creator civilization, Fang Nokia. An image light curtain was connected to the communication network of the Emperor's Advent, and a beautiful figure appeared in front of Qin Sheng. This figure was basically similar to that of a human race, but its skin showed a mysterious blue color, which looked like an elf in general. The 2 eyes are also extremely big, as if they came out of the 2nd dimension. Qin Sheng nodded. It's nothing more than a little effort. Joining hands to help this new civilization to solve the Chaos Apostles. On the one hand, it is because it is indeed not far from Qin Sheng, and the time when the news came out is just the latest. Otherwise, if the news came hundreds of years ago, I am afraid that the battleships would have let it go. The scum of space ray erosion is gone. What else can Qin Sheng do to help? On the other hand, all the warships of the Great Qin Empire have ushered in a new round of upgrades. Qin Sheng wants to try to see what kind of power the Emperor's Advent can display. Looking at it now, the Emperor's Linshi, which has reached the level of an eternal emperor, is indeed extremely tyrannical. Most of the Chaos Apostle battleships that we faced just now had even reached the 5th level of civilization, but under the purgatory rays, they evaporated instantly like water droplets falling into a hot iron pot. Qin Sheng didn't even use any other weapons, just using the purgatory ray was enough to completely wipe out the enemies. The reward promised to your excellency has been prepared, and I will send my people to the battleship of your civilization later. As Fang Nuaokia spoke, she waved her big hand. Only then did Qin Sheng notice that Fang Nuaokia had a full 6 arms. However, when stacked together, it is not so obvious. How did you get here? It looks like an apostle stronghold under Nurgle's command, and you are still in the middle of its stronghold. It's like this. Our civilization has just mastered the black hole transition technology, which is still incomplete, and the star map of this side has expired. This place was originally the location of another civilization, but now it has been occupied by the Apostles of Chaos. As a result, when our civilization made a space transition, there was a mistake, and we arrived at the stronghold of the Chaos Apostle by mistake. If it weren't for the help of your civilization, I am afraid that my new creator civilization would be completely cut off here today. Fang Nuokia seemed to be a little jealous of Qin Sheng and Qin Sheng's Great Qin Empire, and told the whole story. Qin Sheng nodded. 30 million light years around here are barren star fields. What is your civilization doing here? The idea that our new creator civilization upholds is that after chaos destroys everything, we can still find a scorched earth and sow the seeds of civilization. So we travel in the universe and leave the fire of civilization in suitable galaxies, hoping that even if the evil god destroys the boundless universe, we can still leave the fire of life. Hearing this, Qin Sheng couldn't help being shocked. It seems that the blue star and the Earth in the Milky Way, the civilization whose name has been forgotten, also do the same. There is no galaxy group suitable for survival here, but my suggestion is to reorganize the battleships of the fleet before embarking on the journey. There are countless dangers in the universe, and with such strength alone, one must be cautious. Quote. At the same time, a new idea emerged in Qin Sheng's heart. Let the fire of civilization of the great Qin Empire illuminate the entire universe. 44%. Chapter 213 Mission, Master of the Universe. Why the new creator civilization in front of me is doing this is still unknown. However, there was a strange voice in Qin Sheng's mind telling him that the civilization whose name had been forgotten definitely had its purpose in acting like this. It's a good idea to spread the fire of civilization all over the universe. Qin Sheng said in a low voice. Just as Qin Sheng finished speaking, the notification sound from the Xinghai system came again in his mind. It is detected that the great Qin Di has the idea of spreading the fire of civilization, and a special task is activated. The leader of all races. Spread the fire of civilization throughout the universe. As the creator of civilization, when civilization is born, it will bring you countless benefits. Task reward. Achievement of the leader of all races growth title. Do you accept this task? Qin Sheng was stunned. After he left the Milky Way, the Xinghai game system seldom talked, and this time he unexpectedly brought him such a task. Accept. Qin Sheng chose to accept without even thinking about it. No matter what changes the achievement of the leader of the 10,000 clans will bring to Qin Sheng, just looking at the 5 characters of growth title behind it is enough, demonstrates its strength. Player. Qin Sheng. Civilization. Great Qin Di. Received successfully. Quote. Congratulations on your achievement of the 10,000 races. 10,000 times increase. Congratulations on winning the title of Lord of the Universe. Lord of the Universe 0%. In this Fang universe, facing the evil gods of the subspace, they will be immune to 0% damage to the title holder. The percentage will be determined according to the extent to which the title holder spreads civilization in the universe. Seeing this, the corners of Qin Sheng's mouth twitched wildly. Although this is impossible, if Qin Sheng spreads the fire of human civilization to the entire universe and completes the title of Lord of the Universe to 100%, wouldn't it mean that even if the subspace and the current universe are superimposed, can Qin Sheng just ignore the 4 great evil gods? Before having the title of Emperor of all ages, Qin Sheng could be completely immune to 40% of the attacks from all creatures, and now he has the title of Lord of the Universe, which makes Qin Sheng go further and further on the road of invincibility far. After receiving this task, Qin Sheng couldn't wait to start spreading the fire of civilization in this universe. Proceed with caution in the future. After Qin Sheng left a word to the new creators of civilization, he drove the Emperor's advent, led the battleship group, shuttled through the light hole, made a space transition, and left here. Fang Nuokia let out a sigh of relief as she watched the terrifying battleship group leave. There are many interstellar pirates in the universe, and with their hundreds of battleships alone, it is too easy for Qin Sheng to kill them. Head of Nokia, the great Qin Empire has not accepted the reward we sent out, so it left. At this time, an electronically synthesized sound fell into Fang Nokia's ears through the ship's communication network, and Fang Nokia shook his head. The one in charge of such a powerful civilization probably doesn't think much of our reward. Reorganize the fleet, continue interstellar exploration later, and improve the black hole transition technology. Quote. Yes, when the Emperor's advent scanned nearly 1/3 of the Lolius galaxy, it found that there were not 10 planets suitable for the development of human civilization in the huge galaxy. It's impossible to go on like this. The universe is so big. If you look for them one by one, when will you find them? Qin Sheng shook his head. After a long while, Qin Sheng chose to let go of the special task of Lord of the Universe. After all, Qin Sheng already has the title of Emperor of the Ages, plus his own battleship group. As long as the evil god does not come, even if he is a 6th-level monster, Qin Sheng is not afraid at all. He can't beat him, but he can still run. And blindly looking for a planet suitable for spreading the fire of civilization is a waste of time. Go to the Vice Hall of Judgment of the Holy See first, and after obtaining a star map of a quarter of the observable universe, and then complete the task of the Lord of the Universe, it will also get twice the result with half the effort. With Qin Sheng's order, the Emperor's advent made space leaps again and again, and headed towards the Vice Hall of Judgment. After 5 months, an extremely magnificent building appeared in front of the Emperor's advent fleet. A humanoid angel made of pure white rare metal, with 6 wings stretched out behind it, with gold radiance blooming on it, arms slightly folded, embracing a huge palace made entirely of white rare earth and gold. The human-like angel spanned a distance of nearly 300,000 kilometers, more than 10 times longer than the Earth, but this was only a side hall of the Holy See. Qin Sheng couldn't help but began to imagine what the main hall of the Holy See would look like. In the past 5 months, Qin Sheng encountered many planets suitable for the survival of the human race along the way, and at the same time sowed the fire of civilization. But it will take at least 1,000,000 years for these civilization fires to gradually develop civilization and then bring benefits to Qin Sheng. Of course, compared to the entire universe, 1,000,000 years is but a blink of an eye. As soon as Qin Sheng's battleship arrived within the range of the Vice Hall of the Judgment of the Holy See, Qin Sheng received a message from the communication network: detect the arrival of civilization, Great Qin Empire. The authority is to invite the leaders of the Qin Empire to enter the Holy See alone. Quote. Seeing this, Qin Sheng put on the degenerate fluid armor of strange matter that had also undergone a round of upgrades, stepped out of the Emperor's advent, and stepped into the palace of the Holy See. It has to be said that an existence that has entered the 6th level of civilization is really rich and powerful. Not only are they distributed in the entire universe, but the side halls are even more magnificent. Qin Sheng can't feel the magic here, but when Qin Sheng comes in person, he even feels the flowing spiritual energy around him that can be absorbed. You must know that from a certain point of view, psionic energy can be said to be a unique product of the subspace, and the Holy See of Judgment can already use some external forces to generate dissipated psionic energy, which is really not easy. Qin Sheng followed an angel-like robot to the depths of the Judgment Holy See. A gate in front of the hall was closed, and it was sealed with 8 pieces of azure kyanite with a size of more than 10 kilometers. The power contained in it, even vegetarian food some heart. The power contained in each piece of azure kyanite is not inferior to the power that a single shot of the purgatory ray can produce. That is to say, above the gate, there are 8 launch devices that are comparable to purgatory rays. If there is an invasion by foreign enemies, it will be a powerful countermeasure. The mechanical-looking angel flapped its mechanical wings and issued an electronically synthesized voice. The leader of the Great Qin Empire, please prove your identity, and then distribute the task rewards. Qin Sheng took out the identity plate that he had obtained when he joined the judgment of the non-staff civilization of the Holy See. The next moment, there was a loud bang from the giant door, and Qin Sheng was sucked into it again. 45%. Chapter 214 Star Map, More Attractive Conditions. For a moment, Qin Sheng felt that his mind was spinning. Different from the last time he went to the trial court, this time the feeling was completely different, as if he had entered another world. When this dizzy feeling dissipated, Qin Sheng found that his surroundings had lost the shackles of gravity, and in front of Qin Sheng was an illusory universe, where the stars flowed and the stars twinkled. And in this boundless starry sky, a huge transparent giant is floating in the universe. It looks like a large jellyfish, with a faint purple light all over its body, and countless tentacles swinging under it, and like an octopus, the closer it gets to the end, the closer it is to the entity. There was light flowing in the giant's head, and it seemed to contain extremely powerful power, which made Qin Sheng feel dizzy just by looking at it. You finally came. 380. A gentle voice sounded in Qin Sheng's ears, charming and moving, yet unconventional. As the voice came to mind, the giant slowly floated towards Qin Sheng, and countless tentacles brushed against Qin Sheng's body, and the battle armor that was wearing seemed to be restricted by something, and they disintegrated one after another. Qin Sheng's strong ketone body was exposed. At the same time, the tentacles fused with Qin Sheng's body, and a tingling sensation came from every cell in Qin Sheng. Your mission is more than that, you need to do more. The voice was melodious, flowing in Qin Sheng's mind. Qin Sheng only felt that his consciousness became more and more drowsy, and finally fell into a coma state. I don't know how long it has passed. A dazzling light pierced Qin Sheng's eyelids. Qin Sheng woke up leisurely. The surrounding stars and universe had disappeared. Qin Sheng sat naked on the ground. But in front of Qin Sheng was the same scene as the treasure house of the Trial Holy See that he had seen before. It was pitch black, and the blue light of technology was shining in it. In front of Qin Sheng, there is an electronic chip floating, with dazzling blue light flowing through the transistors. This electronic chip is 4 meters long and 2 meters wide, and the densely packed circuits and transistors are intertwined with each other. It doesn't look very advanced. The product of civilization, but the blue light shining in it made Qin Sheng feel that even the current Great Qin Empire could not produce such a thing. The moment Qin Sheng reached out and touched the electronic chip turned into a ray of light, and the whole went from tiny to particles more precise than quarks, decomposed and reassembled, and reached Qin Sheng's wrist, and then turned into a piece of light. Zan Lan's totem was entrenched on Qin Sheng's forearm. Qin Sheng looked at the miraculous totem on his strong forearm, and with a thought, a bright galaxy map shot out from Qin Sheng's palm in the form of a phantom, appearing in the space in front of him. At the same time, Qin Sheng's mind naturally showed the coordinate axis of the star field and the location of the surrounding galaxies. Qin Sheng touched his chin. This is much more convenient. I thought that the star map of the quarter of the observable universe needs to be bound to the Emperor's advent, but now it seems that even if Qin Sheng can't pilot the Emperor's advent for some reason in the future, he can still grasp this star map. Looking at the battle armor scattered on the ground, Qin Sheng couldn't help recalling the scene he encountered just now when he entered the treasure house. Qin Sheng didn't know what the giant was. As for what he said to himself, what he said made Qin Sheng even more confused. It seems that the trial of the Holy See seems to have some origins with me, so it might involve my rebirth. Qin Sheng shook his head. Since he can't figure it out, let's take a step and see. If there are any visions in the future, maybe the two can be connected. After putting on his battle armor again, Qin Sheng left the treasure house. Except for the star map floating in Qin Sheng's line of sight, all the other treasures were covered by a layer of dark light. When Qin Sheng left the treasury, the mechanical angel made a voice in front of him. It is detected that the civilization of the Great Qin Empire has obtained enough chaos credentials to upgrade the authority, whether to choose to upgrade the authority. Judgment levels of the Holy See: Saint level, Priest level, Punishment level, Trial level. After testing, the civilization of the Great Qin Empire is now at the Saint level, and the authority can be raised when it reaches the Priest level. Quote. Qin Sheng blinked. There is such a good thing. What's the difference between the levels? The priest level can arrive at the main hall of the Holy See of Judgment at each star wheel to conduct scientific research and study, and get the help of the main hall of the Holy See of Judgment to improve. Those below the 6th level of civilization can gain some attainments in the space field. Qin Sheng nodded. How to elevate authority? Complete the promotion task. You can increase the authority. Judging the mission issued by the main hall of the Holy See. Connecting to the main hall of the Holy See. Z. With the sound of an electric current, the mechanical angel's body disintegrated into a light curtain projector, and the projection of the judge's civilization appeared in Qin Sheng's sight. This time, there were 3 people in full. One of them was dotted with a radiance circle rune between his brows. He looked like a handsome young man in his early 20s. The other 2 were old. Their eyes were slightly closed, but their faces were upright. Don't be angry. The 2 old men were just like the judge's Qin Mu saw when he finished destroying the Naya space eye last time, but the young man was uncharacteristically different from Qin Sheng. He was a human race. Qin Sheng was shocked from the bottom of his heart. Although the human race is not considered a small race in the entire universe, compared to other races, the human race's body and upper limit are too weak. It can be said that it is too weak. It is precisely because of this the reason is that most human civilizations are still at the 1st and 2nd levels, and even very few are at the 3rd level. And the young man in front of him obviously had a high status in the Judgment Holy See, which made Qin Sheng doubt his identity. The young man smiled and said, Your Excellency, my name is Ku Jin. I am very glad that you have chosen to join the judgment of the Holy See, and secondly, this task, 3.4 is not easy, it is up to you to accept it or not. Qin Sheng nodded. But it doesn't matter. In the Vice Hall of the Judgment of the Holy See here, there are already 2 star Jillins that have no rulers. After my consultation with the Holy See, it has been unanimously decided the new Great Chindi Kingdom is the guest of the Vice Hall here. I am a non-staff civilization, and I have become the head of the Vice Hall of the Holy See. Qin Sheng was slightly taken aback. This can be regarded as an extremely generous condition. Of course, if you choose to become the person in charge of the Vice Hall of Judgment of the Holy See here, it is naturally impossible to maintain the status of non-staff civilization, and you need to become a member of the Holy See civilization. After a pause, he continued to say, but all the rules restricting ordinary teachers are invalid for you. You only need to protect this side hall of the Holy See, and all other restrictions will be invalid. 45%. Chapter 215 The Current Crisis, the 5th level demon is raging. Qin Sheng felt that his breathing was stagnant. If he had given such a condition when the judge civilization offered him an olive branch for the first time, then he would definitely agree without hesitation. But then, what he said made Qin Sheng calm down. But of course there is a premise. Do you know why there is no person in charge of the Vice Hall of Trial of the Holy See? Hu Jin still had that gentle smile on his face, but Qin Sheng already felt a trace of seriousness. Before Qin Sheng could speak, Hu Jin said slowly, "This star field, centered on the Vice Hall of the Judgment of the Holy See, extends outward for a distance of 30,000 light years. It is a superimposed universe of the subspace and the present world. If the subspace completely annexes this place, a 30,000 light-year-long eye of the subspace will be torn apart. Even though the subspace has not mastered the annexation of this place now, because of the continuous fluctuations in space, there will often be a fifth-level monster sneaking out, and the frequency is about 1 every 3 years, but also because of the limitation of space, the fifth-level monster can only wreak havoc near here, and not farther away. But it was precisely because of this reason that the 28 people in charge of the Vice Hall of the Holy See were killed one after another by the hands of the fifth-level demon." Quote. After a pause, Hu Jin continued, "So, are you still sure?" Qin Sheng couldn't help laughing. If it's just like this, then it's too sure. However, what good? He would like to smile slightly. You can freely enter and exit the main hall of the Holy See, the authority of the position is upgraded to the trial level, and all the basic technologies of the judge civilization can be freely browsed. If I remember correctly, your current chaos voucher has reached 100 duovigintillion. The most basic 6th-level technology. Quote. Qin Sheng's eyes lit up when he heard the words. Although this may not seem like a very good benefit, it can be said to be an extremely perfect benefit for Qin Sheng, who has mastered the 10,000-fold increase. On the one hand, the basic technology of the 6th-level civilization is not too much beyond the current limit for Qin Sheng, and it can be multiplied by 10,000 times. After accepting the 10,000 times multiplication, the basic technology obtained will also be transformed into a peak technology. Agreeing to the invitation to judge the Holy See, Qin Sheng is even sure to step into the 6th-level civilization within 10 years. Don't look at 10 years as a long time, but this is a time shortened by nearly 99.99% thanks to the 10,000 times increase and the 1,000 times scientific research speed. If it is an ordinary 5th-level civilization, after stepping into the 5th-level civilization, there will be no 100,000 years, and it is absolutely impossible to be next to the 6th-level civilization. Looking at the spatial fluctuations, the next round of level 5 monsters will be raging. Just 3 days later, if you are sure, you can solve this time the level 5 monsters are raging. After the settlement, the judge civilization will automatically perceive it, and at the same time it will increase your authority. How about it? Do you choose to join the trial Holy See and become a member of the Holy See civilization? Qin Sheng nodded. If you don't join again, it will be impolite. He would like to laugh loudly. Welcome Your Excellency the Emperor to join. After saying that, the light curtain dissipated, and the mechanical angel regrouped. Detection. Hello, Emperor. This is the secret key to judge the Vice Hall of the Holy See. Please keep it safe. No, XK351 serves you wholeheartedly. Quote. Looking at XK351 in front of him, Qin said, I'll give you a name, just Alita. Got it, change the number. Alita. Although the mechanical angel is a mechanical structure, it has to be said that the aesthetics of the judge civilization is still online. The basic structure of Alita is similar to that of the human race, but there are some details that can be seen in the precise mechanical structure, and behind it. The 6 mechanical wings, but the face is extremely beautiful, really like an angel. Alita followed closely behind Qin Sheng, and followed Qin Sheng back to the Emperor's advent. After Ella, who was in the Emperor's advent, saw Alita, a sense of vigilance rose in her heart. Emperor, what is this? Your new friend, Alita. Ella looked at Alita reluctantly, feeling a little apprehensive. Qin Sheng naturally didn't care about Ella's appearance. Every time he brought newcomers back to the ship, these veteran beauties would be a little reluctant, but they got along with each other after a while. Qin Sheng called Anwelia and others, and after talking about the task of the judge's civilization and his own choice, he began to deploy the next battle response method. Afterwards, we still have to go to the Great Wall system of the Northern Crown of Hercules. I plan to leave the fleet in the Vice Hall of the Holy See. With these tens of millions of 5th-level warships, the arrival of any 5th-level monsters is imaginary. The artillery fire suppression is 17. After Qin Sheng finished speaking, Long Mo and Aila nodded, and the battle deployment was naturally left to them. In this case, Long Mo and Ella need to stay in the Vice Hall of the Holy See. At the same time, Chi-Chi Pyre and Kiki Bell also need to stay in the Vice Hall of the Holy See to lead and guide the court. The seat of Qin Di civilization. My idea is, centering on the Vice Hall of the Holy See, I will copy a star map to you later, and spread the fire of civilization to all the Earth-like planets in the universe that are suitable for the survival of human civilization. When I get the Great Wall of the Northern Corona after the inheritance of the system, I will come back here to pick up your 360s. Everyone nodded and had no opinion on Qin Sheng's allocation. There are always times of parting, even though we are reluctant, but every parting is for a better reunion. Of course, these words were used by Qin Sheng to fool these little girls. Ella abruptly suggested, since the emperor is leaving after the war, why not? As she said that, Ella looked at Long Mo, Chi-Chi Pyre and Chi-Chi Bell. Long Mo turned her head, but her face was obviously a little rosy. Shaw spread from her cheeks to her ears. For 3 days, Qin Sheng was surrounded by AILA in the command room for 3 full days. According to Ella's words, you, Anbiria, will be with the Emperor every day in the future, so let's indulge in these few days, what's wrong? 3 days later, with a wave of space fluctuations, the power of the subspace emerged. Qin Sheng walked out of the command room slowly while supporting the wall. Feeling the stabbing pain coming from his waist, Qin Sheng looked out of the porthole. Bursts of blood red, bursts of filth, bursts of obscenity, bursts of treachery, 4 different breaths twisted the space, generating fluctuations. Grass, isn't it a level 5 monster? Why are all the forces from all directions here? 45%. Chapter 216 Smelly, Fish, Rotten, Shrimp. A space vortex filled with 4 completely different forces slowly revolved, and in an instant, the rules of this Fang universe were even fundamentally changed, tending to be assimilated like subspace. If this kind of turmoil is not resolved, as time goes by, sooner or later, this place will become a paradise for chaos demons to wreak havoc. Qin Sheng supported his back with one hand, and sat down slowly with the other hand on the command chair. How long will it take to solve these guys? Ella, who had just tidied up her clothes, came over and stuck to Qin Sheng's side. Won't a few shots of purgatory rays be enough? Qin Sheng shook his head. Such a vision is by no means accidental, and it can easily be resolved with the current emperor's advent, but in this space, there will be a 5th-level monster descending every now and then. This time there are 4, and next time there may be 40, and the emperor cannot rely solely on the presence of the emperor. Hetty, Ella, Long Mo, you command the battleship group. Use these tens of millions of battleships to deal with these 4 level 5 monsters. Quote. Hearing this, the corner of Hetty's mouth twitched. Instead of driving the Emperor's advent, he used these tens of millions of warships. Wouldn't that be enough for 1 round of bombing to send these 5th-level monsters back to their hometowns? In the distance, in the universe, the power fluctuations in the subspace are constantly appearing in the present universe. The first one to get out is the perverted demon. From the cave of desire, a huge snake head stretched out, but the pink body has a pair of pitch-black eyes. When the snake's head sticks out of the world, there are bursts of desires that can destroy the most resolute person. Lust, lust, love, love, all kinds of lust and love surge in the universe. This is the 5th-level demon under the command of sex abuse, and it is extremely terrifying. The next moment, a huge palm protruded from the cave of dirt, with webbed fingers between the fingers, and sticky filth flowed on it, making people sick. The next moment, a monster shaped like a toad jumped out of the filthy cave. Countless pustules burst open all over his body, and the filthy aura emanated, but in this filthy air that people discarded, there was a strange burst of divinity, as if can contain everything in general. Dirt, disease, and calamity all merged into one body, yet presented an inexplicable republic. This monster was the 5th-level demon under Nurgle's command. On the other side, the bird's head protruded, and its huge wings flapped. A strange bird that was not much different from the great demon under Zinch flew out of the cave of cunning. The ferocious, devil-like blood-red minotaur jumped out horizontally, brandishing a giant blade. This world. The breath of this world WW. The sex abuser twisted his body, and in the blink of an eye, the huge snake body transformed into a naked beauty, and in the next moment, he transformed into a strong and handsome man, and transformed into the appearance of countless other races, but no matter what race, all demonstrate the extremely charming power of this race. Qin Sheng sat on the command chair, watching the perverted demon flirt with his head, and felt nauseated in his stomach. Quick, 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 pull out my Italian cannon and blast the motherfucker. Qin Sheng waved his hands again and again, and at the next moment, 2 million Yongle Emperor-class battleships fired in salvo, and the galaxy's energy and matter decomposition launch arrays fired in salvo, and the forces that engulfed annihilation gathered into a boundless beam of light. Even the galaxy seemed unable to bear this. Like a force, when the beam of light fell on the body of the sex abuser, it pierced through his graceful figure, and bombarded into the cave of desire. The beam of light that decomposes all matter and energy violently flows, and the torrent of energy pours into the subspace. For a while, this universe can't bear the pressure. From the edge of the subspace passage, fine space cracks burst open. Come and spread to the surrounding universe. With just one face-to-face meeting, under the full force bombardment of the battleship group, the fifth-level demon completely destroyed his physical body and bombarded his spiritual body into the subspace. A hint of cunning and treachery flashed in Tzeentch's bird head, as if he had already noticed something wrong here. There has been no civilization in this space for hundreds of years. Except for the Vice Hall of the Holy See, which is still blessed by the Holy See, they cannot get their hands on it. The surrounding hundreds of light years have been patrolled by these big demons. There is no civilization of any kind. And this sudden attack really caught them by surprise. At the same time, even Tzeentch was astonished by the powerful beam of light. With such power, one face-to-face is enough to kill a fifth-level monster. Not only that, it seems that the beam of light still has power. This is the scariest thing. But before Tzeentch could react, the proton and neutron dual-barreled air-shattering array bombarded, and the other 2 million warships launched a salvo, and the fine stream of light was fired under the spout of the 2 gun barrels. As soon as it came out, the azure and golden holy brilliance pierced through the universe, causing large space cracks where it passed. This blow was already enough to affect the stability of the universe. The word, shattering the sky, just proved its power, enough to shatter the space. In the blink of an eye, countless beams of light converged from hundreds of light years away into a brilliant divine punishment, descending on Tzeentch's bird head, and in an instant, the huge gorgeous bird body was bombarded and shattered together. Together with the shattered space, dissipated together, and the spiritual body quickly drilled back into the subspace to hide. Run. These are the last words that Tzeentch left for Nurgle and Khorne before leaving. But at this moment, it was too late to run away. The remaining 6 million warships fired a salvo of billions of trillions of void zero-point energy to push the superluminal cannon, and the extremely compressed cannonballs, driven by the void zero-point energy, moved at a speed tens of millions of times faster than the speed of light at the moment they left the barrel. The speed pierced through the void, and in an instant Zhao Zhaohao fell on the body of the great demon Nurgle. When the cannon light exploded, the blazing light spread to tens of thousands of light years away, like a galaxy brilliant. The distorted stardust scattered, and in the center of the cannon light, the brilliance of blue rose, which contained the power enough to collapse a supergiant star. 6 million warships fired in salvo, and in an instant, the demon Nurgle's body was destroyed. The body dissipated with a bang. The Khorne demon next to him was holding a huge blade, and without even taking 10 breaths before and after, the other 4 of his teammates had already been physically destroyed. I can't help but feel my scalp go numb. What came next was a jet-black body of light that lasted for thousands of light years. It was the Void Singularity collapsing cannon, and together with the subspace channel behind the Khorne demon, it was destroyed, dissipated, and finally returned to annihilation. Level 5 Demon. Stinky Fish and Rotten Shrimp. 45%. Chapter 217 Departure, a more distant journey. The main hall of the Holy See of Judgment is hundreds of billions of light years away from this Vice Hall of the Holy See of Judgment. A smile appeared on Ku Jin's face. Sure enough, the Great Qin Empire is truly extraordinary. On the side, the corner of an old judge's mouth twitched. Killing 4 level 5 monsters in a row in a few tens of seconds, without any effort, how could it be simple? According to the information, the Great Qin Empire will go to the Great Wall system of the Northern Crown of Hercules in the next step. Do you want to track the trajectory? He shook his head. There is no need to follow. The Great Qin Empire is unlikely to rebel, and it is of no benefit to him to take refuge in the warp space evil god. With the end of the meeting, what Qin Sheng didn't know was that Alida, the mechanical angel who had been placed beside him by the Holy See, had already betrayed herself. Of course, the Holy See of Judgment will not be too idle to go crazy and want to investigate Qin Sheng, just to determine whether Qin Sheng will defect to the subspace. After all, the mission of the Holy See of Judgment is to protect this Fang universe. If the Great Qin Empire has such great potential, it will 100% break through to level 6 civilization, and even hope to reach the existence of level 7 civilization in their view. If 743 goes to the subspace, it will be a destruction for the present universe sexual blow. Only when it is confirmed that the Great Qin Empire has absolutely no intention of defecting to the subspace, will the Trial Holy See spare no effort in cultivating the civilization of the Great Qin Empire. In subspace. Throne of the skull, Korn's giant palm grasped a huge skeleton, a grin suddenly opened on the hideous and terrifying face, and he laughed loudly. Great Qin Empire, tisk tisk tisk, twice, 3 times. It's bad for me and good for me, I will remember you. In the filthy land, in the dark and green confinement, the mountain-like Nurgle let out a benevolent laugh. The Great Qin Empire should belong to my arms. Be careful. In the color field, the sex abuser swings the seductive ketone body, and the distorted throne is full of color and lust, and the sex abuser's mouth utters bursts of moaning. Can you make me happier, Great Qin Kingdom? Under the dark purple sky, Tzeentch's bird's head swayed left and right, and the cunning eyes full of endless schemes shone brightly, locking on the fleet of the Great Qin Empire through the boundless universe. It's extremely interesting. Because of Qin Shang's performance in this round of bombing just now, the entire subspace has locked its attention on the Great Qin Empire. It has to be said that from the beginning of the universe to the present, there has never been a 5th-level civilization that can attract the eyes of 4 evil gods at the same time. The depths of the galaxy are in the Sloan Great Wall that has been completely controlled by the Mara forces. Mara is entrenched on a black hole, and her body is distorted under the strong gravity of the black hole, but it is this kind of violent and destructive power that makes Mara enjoy it extremely. Ha 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 ha. To be able to deflate those 4 bugs at the same time, such an existence should be destroyed by me. Mara screamed, and punched down. The black hole formed by the collapse of the supergiant star below him shattered loudly, turning into extremely pure destructive power, pouring into Mara's body. At the same time, countless demons under the order of Mara rushed out from the Great Wall of Sloan to the location of the Vice Hall of the Holy See. At this moment, Qin Shang, who had just finished the battle, was still immersed in the strength of the battleship group. With such a battleship group, he didn't need to worry about the coming of Chaos Demon from the shop. Not to mention 4 level 5 monsters, even 40 level 5 monsters, under the linkage of Long Mo Aila, driving this fleet that can destroy galaxies. It is absolutely impossible to turn over. Not to mention anything else. Just talking about the 10 million warships, each of them is equipped with 3 Void Singularity Collapse Cannons, and each Void Singularity Collapse Cannon is enough to send the 5th level monster back to the happy hometown. A total of 30 million Void Singularity Collapsing Cannons, under a salvo. I am afraid that even the 6th level monsters will be on the spot. After the last round of deployment, Qin Shang led Anviria, Yi Shuang, and Chief Engineer Neil on the journey to the Great Wall System of the Northern Corona of Hercules. After all, I don't know what kind of legacy Daihao left for me, technology, or some theoretical knowledge. At least they should bring Anvilia Yeshuang, the brain of the Qin Empire, and Neil, an engineer who can build everything. As the Emperor's advent leapt across the universe, this time, the speed was much faster. After obtaining the star map of a quarter of the observable universe, Qin Shang will be much more comfortable when making the black hole space transition. Fortunately, the Great Wall System of the Northern Corona of Hercules happens to be included in this quarter of the star map. After a year has passed, over a distance of more than 6 billion light-years, the footprints of the Great Qin Empire have finally set foot on the Great Wall System of the Northern Crown of Hercules. From a distance of 1 billion light-years, Qin Shang has already noticed a huge fibrous star cluster in the universe like a wall, stretching for tens of billions of light-years. It has to be said that the universe is really an extremely miraculous creator. Majestic and magnificent products can be created by the hands of the universe. After arriving at the location of the Great Wall System, Qin Shang took out the star map given to him by Daihao earlier, which included the coordinate system of that heritage. At this moment, an unfriendly voice suddenly came from a distance. Foreign civilizations, please indicate the basic genetic chain of your own ethnic group and report it before you can enter the Great Wall System of the North Crown, otherwise you will be convicted of invasion by outsiders. A piece of news without any communication at all was automatically connected to the communication network of the Emperor's advent. Qin Shang frowned slightly. According to the rules in the universe, this behavior can be regarded as provocation. The carbon-based mixed silicon-based life structure of the Great Qin Di Kingdom. Anwei Lia answered the voice instead of Qin Shang. The reason is that Qin Shang really doesn't know what structure his civilization is. After all, he is a carbon-based creature, but he leads a group of silicon-based tactical humanoid girls. This is a bit strange. Sure enough, as Daihao said back then, when Anviria's voice fell, the voice from hundreds of light-years away obviously sneered, "Please go back the same way, the Great Wall System of the Northern Coronation doesn't welcome bastards." Quote. Quote. Fire me. Just blast him. The veins on Qin Shang's forehead popped violently. The native civilization of the Northern Crown Great Wall system is really a bit arrogant. Qin Sheng didn't bother with this guy anymore when he connected to the Emperor's Linshi communication network without permission before, but now he's speaking wild words is really unbearable. As several huge mechanical arms rose from the deck of the Emperor's Advent, clusters of void zeros that had been compressed to the extreme could converge into blazing rays of light and burst out. 45%. Chapter 218. It's too bad to solve it in one face-to-face meeting. When the purgatory ray shot up, it had already spanned hundreds of light years in an instant, penetrating and melting the warship that uttered the raving words, and even brought hundreds of warships around it under the extremely violent light stream. With one strike, hundreds of warships were destroyed. But this is not the limit of the purgatory ray. It can destroy hundreds of warships because there are only hundreds of warships in this battleship group. If there are thousands of battleships, they can be destroyed. With the destruction of these hundreds of warships, the silicon-based civilization in the depths of the Northern Crown Great Wall system got the news instantly. What kind of guy dares to do evil in the Northern Crown Great Wall system? A creature shaped like a beetle and the size of a hill screamed, and electrons flowed between its mouthparts, forming sonic thoughts. Its body is covered with a hard crystal layer, and it doesn't look like a human race at all, but the civilization it has mastered has reached the 5th intermediate level. Compared with carbon-based organisms, which more or less have the shape of a human, or have characteristics similar to some creatures on the Earth, silicon-based organisms come in all kinds of shapes, and they can look like anything, which is beyond the imagination of the human race. General Mono, send me an order to send 100,000 warships to meet the enemy. Send 30,000 supply ships at the same time to replenish combat readiness at the front line. By the way, what kind of biological civilization is the other party? Broge said loudly. General Mono was stunned, and then said with a strange expression, according to the last news from the front line, the other party is a carbon-based mixed silicon-based life structure. www. What? Hearing General Mono's answer, Broge's brows furrowed. There is such a stupid sacred civilization. What a shame. This is a shame for silicon-based organisms. Send me an order to increase the dispatched 100,000 warships to 200,000. Such an ugly biological civilization does not need to exist in this universe, and a round of bombardment will directly annihilate them. Following the order of Broge, the Chinese Mono army will lead 200,000 warships and 30,000 supply ships to open up a transition light hole. Under the nearly 10,000-kilometer light hole, a total of 230,000 ships, they all went out and went straight to Qin Sheng's Great Qin Empire. The moment this group of battleships landed, they hadn't locked on to the location of the Emperor's Advent, but they saw that the light curtain had struck across hundreds of light years. Particle tachyon two-state coexistence light spear emitter array salvo. Under the form of tachyon particle two-state superposition, the speed of light spear even exceeds the speed of light countless times. Under the squeeze of space, the energy torrent penetrates the space, bombarded on the enemy fleet. Qin Sheng doesn't even want to have any communication with the silicon-based civilization in front of him. No matter how many warships you send over, I'll take them all and break them all for you. It depends on whether you have the courage. Just send a warship to fight me. In just one face-to-face meeting, General Mono's army had already been beaten out of sight and tens of thousands of warships were damaged before he even locked the location of the Emperor's Advent. It's broken. The news from the front line is not correct. They are not a warship, but a fleet. General Mono thought in his heart, if it wasn't for a fleet, how could there be such a fierce suppression of firepower? But the purgatory ray that came immediately, completely made Mono Jun feel despair in his heart, a stream of light that seemed to compress a supergiant star into an arm-thin stream, from the dark universe how many light years away spread. When this stream of light poured into the battleship group, the frenzy it caused distorted and shattered the surrounding space. With the stream of light as the center, it extended outward for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, and all battleships were affected. All the electronic equipment of the battleship is completely destroyed, and the battleship of the silicon-based biological civilization is different from the carbon-based biological civilization, and it is more integrated with even biomechanical structures. It is precisely because of this reason that a whole battleship will be involved if one place is greatly affected. Among the ships ravaged by the purgatory ray, in just over 10 seconds, the 230,000 warships that were still mighty just now are gone, and the scattered warships that survived have lost their qualifications to fight. Like an empty shell, floating in the void. Qin Sheng snorted coldly. I don't intend to fight against your civilization, but you are deceiving people too much. I've just arrived in this star field. Before that person not only spoke rudely, but even threatened me. Then your civilization didn't know what to do, and sent fleets to trouble me. If this is the case, I want to see, what is it? What kind of civilization has such great confidence? Comma, 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 comma. Saying that, Qin Sheng gave an order, and Anvalia quickly drove the emperor's advent and hacked into the enemy's system. Only then did Qin Sheng know that the opponent was a silicon-based biological civilization called the Last Hammer Civilization. The system has reached the middle stage of the 5th level, and it is not a weak existence in the system of the Great Wall of the North Crown. No wonder she acted so arrogantly and domineeringly. After invading the enemy's warship system, Anviria also got the location of the mother planet of the Rustamo civilization, a planet full of thunderstorms and extremely high temperature. General Mano looked at Qin Sheng's face displayed on the light curtain in the system that had been completely destroyed and invaded. The huge armored body couldn't help shaking, and the hard crystal on the surface even began to crack. The instinctive reaction of a class of silicon-based creatures when they feel fear. Too bad, the other party is not a normal life form at all. Damn it, damn it. General Mano Jun began to regret why he came to provoke this killer star, and even more so, why did the supervisor who hated his own civilization speak rudely to this group of civilization? According to the conjecture of General Mano, the Great Qin Empire should be a civilization at the peak of level 5, and it is only a thin line away from level 6 civilization. The Purgatory Ray is too terrifying, and even the upgrade should not have such light energy arms. Seek good luck for yourselves. I have to slip away first, otherwise, I will be buried with you. In just a few short breaths, General Mano already had the idea of run. After all, the Green Hills were left without worrying about no firewood, and now when he ran back to the Last Hammer civilization, what he was greeted was also the wrath of that monster. Hurry up to repair this battleship. Flee with all the surviving clansmen, escape from here, don't worry about not having a chance to make a comeback. But at this moment, Qin Sheng, who locked the coordinate system of the Rathdemo civilization, led the Emperor's advent to the sky above the Rathdemo civilization, a huge planet thousands of times the size of the Earth, on which swept by the raging thunder, there is no civilization at all. Huge silicon-based organisms shuttle on the ground. This is the home planet of the Lost Demo civilization. 46%. Chapter 219 The Price of Blood. This is the Great Qin Empire. In the depths of the Hercules' starry sky, the stars are surrounded by Dyson spheres, and on the periphery of this huge product, a civilization leans on it. It is the Lost Demo civilization. Broge's huge body was sunk in a concave pool, surrounded by several transistors inserted into the crystals above Broge's body. Power from the depths of the planet's crust poured into Broge's body through the transistors, and at the same time, the crystallization flickers on and off, which is a way of enjoying silicon-based organisms like the Lost Demo civilization. Just when Broge was enjoying the great joy, a message came from the image light curtain in front of him, causing Broge to jump out of the concave pool suddenly. The 200,000 warships and 30,000 supply ships on the front line are almost completely destroyed. The Mono army will defect and flee outside the Hercules constellation. What are you talking about? Didn't your General Mono go to trouble the civilization of the 310 just now? Yes, but the battle is over. Broge didn't have such products as facial features, but under his body, countless feet began to shake crazily, and the crystals on the body also cracked in large pieces. Obviously, Broge was extremely angry. Trash, a bunch of trash. After the roar, what Broge felt was the fear emanating from his body. Since Broge dispatched Mono to fight, it has only been a short 10 minutes, and Broge has even just come to this concave pool to enjoy, but he learned such news, which made him. How can you accept it? The damage of 230,000 warships is already the time when they are fighting with the carbon-based creatures on weekdays, and the losses can only be incurred when they are really active, and the war is protracted. It is impossible to cause such a loss in 5 months, but when facing the Great Qin Empire, 230,000 warships were damaged within 10 minutes. How the hell did they do it? Broge couldn't understand it. According to this speed, the whole army of our own civilization is dispatched, and it is not enough to kill others for a day. Where did civilization go at this time? To Master Broge. Go to. Where did you go? Say it quickly. Going to the home planet of the Lost Demo civilization. Boom. The broken foot pierced the image light curtain in front of the message, and on the huge body, large pieces of crystals were shattered. The Last Demo civilization, the whole army is dispatched to the home planet. In any case, we can't let this happen. The demons have their hands on the home planet. On the other side, Qin Sheng has come to the sky above the home planet of the Rative civilization. The Emperor's advent overlooked the entire planet, and Qin Sheng's eyes shone coldly. From the beginning to the end, what Qin Sheng upholds is that people will not offend me and I will not offend others. Not only did this rustic civilization speak rudely when it first came into contact with its own warships, but it even dispatched warships under completely unreasonable circumstances. Come to trouble Qin Sheng. So, what good face will Qin Sheng show you? Preparation for virtual transformation device. Qin Sheng issued an order, and 5 mechanical devices with huge rings coiled on the top stretched out from the side of the great Qin Emperor, and then, driven by the zero-point energy of the void, left the Emperor's advent and headed towards the universe. Flying, coiled in the 5 directions of the home star of the Ross Demo civilization, locked on the coordinate system of the home star of the Wrath Demo civilization. Under the extremely strong computing power of the Great Qin Empire, the virtual environment transformation device created a 3-dimensional image of the home planet of the Rustemo civilization in an instant, and selected 5 weakest positions to carry out locking. The virtual environment transformation device is ready, whether to carry out space transformation. Remodeling underway. With one command, Void Zero can crazily pour into the 5 virtual environment modification devices from the surrounding void, and for a while, clusters of dark purple and almost pitch black light waves slowly move towards loss from the huge circle. The advance of the home planet of the Demo civilization seemed to be slow, but after only one round of attacks, the atmosphere above the home star of the Ross Demo civilization had completely disappeared, and the raging thunderstorms also dissipated. The entire planet was naked on this planet, in the universe. Countless cosmic rays from all directions landed on the surface of the home star of the lost Demo civilization. Suddenly, the barren silicon-based biological home star became even more hell-like, and the 5 virtual world transformation devices were activated. The second round of light waves invaded. This time, the mantle and shell of the parent star of the lost Demo civilization dissipated and melted into the void, as if it had never existed. When the mantle crust completely disappears, all living things on the entire planet are extinct, and at the same time, the stable and solid order of the entire planet also collapses, and the inner core of the planet begins to be unable to withstand the invasion of this force, collapses and collapses. And when the void transformation device carried out the 3rd round of offensive, all the power was suppressed, decomposed into nothingness and dissolved in the void, as if it was one with the void and Genichi from the beginning to the end. When this round of sound waves was completely at the end, the home planet of Ross Demo civilization also disappeared without a trace. Following the return of the void transformation device to the Emperor's advent, Boj led countless warships, and they arrived after a long time. Seeing that the familiar home planet was empty at this time, Boj was furious. What do you have? Attempt. Damn hybrid biological system. I have united the carbon-based biological civilization and the 5th-level peak civilization of the silicon-based biological. If you destroy the home planet of our civilization, I will let you die without a place to bury you. Qin was so angry that he laughed back, and said with a sneer, okay, I will kill as many people who offend me as they come. At this moment, within a radius of 300 light-years, countless transition light holes suddenly appeared, and countless warships rushed from them, including carbon-based biological civilization and silicon-based biological civilization. Prior to this, preparatory work was done for this layout. Here, no matter whether it is carbon-based organisms or silicon-based organisms, when people from both sides saw Qin Sheng's Dakan 3.6 Imperial Emperor Linshi, they all showed hostility by coincidence. A life structure that combines silicon-based organisms and carbon-based organisms is destined to be the common hostility of the 2 races that have been fighting for countless years. A 3-dimensional image suddenly rose above the Emperor's Linshi, with a height of tens of thousands of kilometers, exactly the appearance of Qin Sheng. Later, line up. Of course, if you don't want to talk about Wood, you can go together. Anyway, it's messed with me, I don't have as good juice as you. The voice fell, the image disappeared, and on the command chair, Qin Sheng said, directly use the Purgatory Ray, push it with all your strength, and target the Lost Demo civilization fleet. On the Emperor's advent, the Purgatory Ray launcher, which symbolizes the 5th natural disaster, rises, and under the concentrated energy of several mechanical arms, an inconspicuous beam of light shoots out. 46%. Chapter 220 You Are Not Enough. Of the Carbon-Based Alliance. Seeing the 3-dimensional image rising from the Emperor's advent with caste civilization, it is natural to see that Qin Sheng has the characteristics of carbon-based organisms. General Pence and caste civilization snorted coldly. You brat who flaunts the market, you only want to cause trouble. Oh, I don't know how to link up with silicon-based organisms, I really deserve death. On the other side, Spear, the head of civilization of the Carbon-Based Alliance, shook his head. You can't say that. If you are so xenophobic, what is the difference between our silicon-based creatures whose brains are all transistor electronic chips? I am more optimistic about this civilization. Its technology is estimated to have reached the peak of the 5th level civilization. If it joins our Carbon-Based Alliance, it will be a big help to us. Admiral Pence sneered. Just this guy. Let's see if we can get through this level first. As soon as Admiral Burns' words fell, a stream of world-destroying light jetted out from the Emperor's advent, running through thousands of light years, and tore apart the 28 battleships of the Rustemo civilization. A whole, the battleship group of Lost Demo civilization that had been rectified in an instant was bombarded with a gap, and the power of the Purgatory Ray was fully displayed. It was at this time that Boj knew why the 20 soldiers led by General Mono more than 10,000 warships will be destroyed in just 10 minutes. What weapon is that? Admiral Pence let out a scream, and looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. The Purgatory Ray is really too terrifying. It has already shown absolute crushing in the 5th level civilization. The Rustemer civilization warships have not even used any weapons. Just one confrontation has already made Rasmer civilization crumbles. Wherever it passed, all the battleships were destroyed and turned into liquid metal, and this liquid metal also burned up and dissipated under the fierce temperature of the Purgatory Rays reaching quadrillion degrees. This high temperature is incomparable even in the center of the star core, but on the Emperor's advent, it has been controlled, the highest level that a 5th level civilization can reach. It should be so. As the mechanical arm swings left and right, the Purgatory Ray destroys all the battleships of the surrounding Lasdemo civilization in a crushing manner. Wherever it passes, no warship has a chance to resist. The beam looks like nothing. With the thickness of an arm, such beams are not even comparable to some stronger cosmic rays in the vast universe, but the power contained in them is enough to easily destroy supergiant stars. As the light beam became more and more violent, some people in the Silicon-based alliance couldn't sit still. If things go on like this, 10,000% of the rustic civilization will be extinct, and the extinction of an ethnic group looks so ridiculous in this situation. Hello, I'm Kokomo, the deputy head of the Alliance of Silicon-Based Civilizations. Please open up the communication with Zhou Wenming. 17. A friendly sound wave came, wanting to connect with the communication network of the Emperor's advent. Qin Sheng snorted coldly, and did not agree to Kokomo's request. If it weren't for the fact that the Lost Demo civilization had half of Kokomo's vision, Qin Sheng would not fight against a civilization. The Purgatory Ray continues to ravage the universe, like a chariot rushing into a flock of sheep, destroying the last hope of the Rustemo civilization. All counterattacks become ineffective under the high temperature of the Purgatory Ray. It detonated above its own battleship. It can be said that a weapon like Purgatory Ray can be used for both offense and defense. Attack is a sharp weapon that goes forward bravely. Defense will directly invalidate your weapon system. Even if it can be fired, it will be detonated on the spot under high temperature and blow yourself up, can be called heaven-defying. After more than a dozen breaths passed, 99.999% of Broj's battleships had been destroyed before Qin Sheng stopped. Kokomo had been applying for access to the Emperor's Promenade's communication network. The communication network of Linshi. Oh, what's the matter? You say. With the recovery of the Purgatory Ray, Qin Sheng connected to the communication network and asked. On the image light curtain, a biological appearance that is completely composed of mechanical structures, which can barely be regarded as humanoid, emerges. Kokomo was frightened for a while. During thousands of years of evolution, Kokomo had almost cut off such things as emotions, but this time, Kokomo felt the long-lost fear again. This guy really kills without blinking an eye. I tried my best to stop Qin Sheng, but Qin Sheng decided to connect to the exchange network because he had completely destroyed the rustic civilization. Please respect your civilization for the sake of silicon-based civilization. You're not good enough. Qin Sheng waved his hand impatiently and interrupted Kokomo. When I first arrived in this star field, before I even did anything, the Lost Demo civilization directly connected to my battleship communication network, verbally insulting and expelling us. Boj roared angrily. But no matter what, you were the first to bombard the battleships of our native civilization. Hearing this, Qin Sheng raised his eyebrows slightly, and the Purgatory Ray swept across the Lost Demo civilization fleet again. When can the weak be so presumptuous? Looking at the decisive Qin Sheng, Kokomo didn't even know what to say for a while. Fundamentally speaking, your rustic civilization does not underestimate your own weight. When it comes to an iron plate, even if it is destroyed, there is no way to reason. After all, whoever has the biggest fist has the right to speak. Not to mention that this battleship 843 is his lost demo civilization. It is here that includes the carbon-based alliance and the silicon-based alliance. If all the battleships are shot together, I am afraid that they will not be able to shake it in the slightest. The light energy weapon that seems to compress countless supergiant stars into light beams is too terrifying. In this way, Your Excellency, you have dissipated today, and you still have a trace of civilized fire from the Rustamo civilization. Don't do things that are absolutely impossible. In the future, in the Great Wall system of the Northern Crown and even the entire Hercules, your civilization will be our silicon-based alliance. How about my honored guest? After a while, Kokomo persuaded, and Qin Sheng waved his hand. If I knew today, why bother? As he said that, Qin Sheng was about to drive the Emperor's Advent, swaggeringly headed towards the Bamianzuo Great Wall system, and headed for the coordinate system that Di Hao handed over to him. Boj looked at the empty battleships in the starry sky. If the lost demo civilization had the function of crying, Boj would definitely be in tears at this time. Hundreds of thousands of years of civilization inheritance, in just a few tens of minutes, is in the hands of Jie. Your Excellency, wait a moment, please allow me to access your civilization exchange network. At this moment, a request came from the carbon-based alliance. Qin Sheng frowned. The conflict between himself and the silicon-based alliance, could it be that the carbon-based alliance also got involved? That the carbon-based alliance also got involved? That the carbon-based